and penalties, but the Bengals lost. So get out your calculator. The scoreboard could go crazy today, Don.
Miami comes in with the #1 passing game in the NFL, and they're the highest scoring team in the NFL. But Dolphins kick it off to start this one as Reves boots it down, and McGee, the fastest Bengal from Tennessee, takes it across the 20. And a good open field hit put on him by Raina Thompson, knocks him down at about the 25-yard line. So checking the Bengals on offense now. Coming out of quarterback is Boomer Esiason, the big, strong left-hander. James Brooks, who does it all, runs, catches, and blocks, is the man who'll get the ball out in the backfield. Johnson, primarily a blocker. Wide receivers are standouts, Eddie Brown and Chris Collinsworth. The Bengals had the #1 offense in the NFL a season ago. This year, Miami's on top. The Bengals, as Trump pointed out, losing those games in the closing moments, 2-5 coming into this. Handoff, James Brooks trying to turn outside and does on the Miami defense. And James Brooks on a 1st and 10 carry gets ahead for a gain of about 9 yards. They're going to give him 8 yards on the play as we look at Miami's defensive front. Turner, Sosha, and the rookie John Bosa across the front. And John Offerdahl, who led the Dolphins in tackles as a rookie last year and went to the Pro Bowl, is back in. He was out until last week, had a bicep tear. He led the Dolphins in tackles with 9 against the Steelers. We welcome those of you who've been watching San Diego and Indianapolis. This is Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at Cincinnati, where Bill Johnson, the backup fullback, just ripped it ahead for a 1st down for the Bengals.
Straight ahead blocking by the big offensive line of the Cincinnati Bengals. Bill Johnson on the carry does an excellent job of getting up through there, and then Paul Langford finally on the tackle. Another first down now for Cincinnati, and Rodney Holman, the starting tight end for the Bengals, on the sideline already with an ankle injury.
Bengals moving the ball well on their first possession. Now on 1st and 10, they go back to the run. Johnson, 2 hands on the ball, crashes ahead. Offerdahl again makes the stop, but he makes it well downfield as the Bengals, powering their way, get 8 yards on that run. San Diego beating Indianapolis 16-13 on that field goal by Vince Abbott with 12 seconds to play. James Brooks just went off Trump.
That's 2 starters now, Rodney Holman and James Brooks. And James Brooks for the Bengals fills the role basically that a lot of running backs do nowadays. They're more wide receivers than they are running backs.
Esiason on short yardage gives to Johnson. He was a 1,000-yard rusher in the U.S. Football League. Bill Johnson thunders ahead and gets the ball out and inside the 35-yard line.
Bengals pretty much doing what they want in this initial drive. An excellent block up front by Stanford Jennings on Bud Brown. Bill Johnson not been playing a great deal because Larry Kennebrew is normally the starting fullback for the Cincinnati Bengals, but neither one of these defenses, for Cincinnati or for Miami, you would list as the top defense you find in the NFL. So it's basically score on every drive has got to be the theme for each coach.
Could be a last-at-bat game. They both grade out low defensively. Right up at the top offensively, here's Esiason standing in, triggers it ahead, makes the connection down to the 25-yard line. Glenn Blackwood comes up and hits Stanford Jennings, who caught the ball on a 1st down play. It was good for about 5 yards.
And I think the thing that both teams have to really be careful of is that both of these offenses are very explosive. In the case of Miami, it's just Dan Marino standing back there hitting Clayton and Duper. For Cincinnati, it's such a multitude of offensive fronts, motions. It's very difficult to figure out what Cincinnati's going to do next.
They've got a full repertoire. The Bengals in their playbook, a very diverse offense. Go from a lot of sets and formations. Awful going to alignment without a huddle. Back to the run. They're taking on the front 3 of Miami, and Cincinnati's winning that battle, at least on this opening drive, as again they run the ball on 2nd and short. Howard ahead for a 1st down. Stanford Jennings with a 1st down carry. The safeties, Bud Brown and Glenn Blackwood. Last line of defense got him.
Excellent move right at the line of scrimmage. And the all-pro offensive tackle of the Bengals, Anthony Munoz, traps inside. He gets Offerdahl right in the chest, 56.
So the Bengals are challenging. First down and 10 on this opening drive. Johnson. That time he couldn't go wide. Dolphins forced him back, in the top draft choice of the Miami Dolphins in the last draft. John Boza from Boston College made the knockdown.
This is not unusual for Cincinnati as you look at Sam White's the head coach. Last week against the Houston Oilers, the Bengals were inside the 25-yard line 6 times, got 5 field goals, could not get the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, they had, without the penalty yardage being taken off, they had over 500 yards with the penalty yardage being taken off. Esiason drops to throw, guns it, man's there, and Eric Pettis is in the end zone for the first touchdown of the game. Wearing a number dear to Bob Trumpy. They didn't retire that one, did they, Trump?
Just washed it. You don't really hear a lot of cheering here in Riverfront Stadium, Don. This may be one of the few stadiums in the country right now that there's not really that much of a home field advantage, and frankly, the people in Cincinnati have seen a lot of this. The Bengals score early, score often, but it never seems to be enough.
Nightmare endings. Freddie on Elm Street with the game plans. Now Breach will try the point after. You talked about all his field goals, but that doesn't say a lot for your offense when your field goal kicker gets 6 tries. He made 5. Something's bogging down. But today they go the distance against Miami on the opening drive, and the Dolphins give up the first points of the game. Esiason gunning it to backup tight end Eric Pettis, a second-year player from Michigan, and it's a 7-0 game Cincinnati.
And it's the backup to Rodney Holman. You see the roll by Boomer Esiason. And then one thing about this new breed of quarterback, the strength of arm. Esiason and Dan Marino are 2 of the best. He throws it between the 2 linebackers. Caddis makes the catch and heads for the end zone. If you're Don Shula and Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coach for the Miami Dolphins, got to be wondering, wait a minute. That drive took 4 minutes and 32 seconds, 75 yards and 8 plays. We got to do better than that, folks. Watch Anthony Munoz once again. John Boza, 97, the rookie, and also Soche, number 70, the nose tackle. Both get hammered by Anthony Munoz. Both of those defensive linemen for Miami very, very active. Boza, of course, with that pulled thigh muscle. Don Shula told us yesterday he doesn't think he's practiced 12 times in pads since they signed him.
Now Jim Breach will kick it off for the Bengals, and he drives it downfield. It'll carry inside the 5-yard line. Troy Stratford, rookie from Boston College, tries to bring it back, and now finds a crack and shoots upfield out to the 30-yard line. So Stratford, who became the first Miami rookie since Jim Kick in '68 to rush for 100 yards in a game, he did that a week ago against the Steelers, brings it back, and Ray Horton knocks him down. And here comes the #1 offense, led by the #1 passer of all time, Dan Marino. Hampton and Bennett are his runners. Duper and Clayton, each with 4 touchdown catches already this season. Offensive line takes good care of Marino. He's the toughest quarterback in the NFL to sack. Throws all the time, and he's been sacked twice this season. He's going up top, first down. Might be a grounding call.
That's a sack.
I'm going to call it a sack. Reggie Williams, coming on a blitz, does indeed get pressure on Marino.
That is highly unusual. You just mentioned how well the offensive line protects Dan Marino. Coming into this ball game, just 6 sacks. That's the 7th. And for the last 5 years, Dan Marino has been the most well-protected quarterback in the NFL by his offensive line.
It's only the third time that Marino himself has been sacked, though. Second down and 20 coming up now for Miami. Pitch back. Running upfield with the ball and running with it is Troy Stratford, and he's shut down by Eddie Edwards, who played for the Hurricanes of Miami. So that'll bring up 3rd and long yardage.
Yeah, but this is where this Miami football team is absolutely at its best. Last year, of course, with the combination of Clayton and Duper on the outside, Nat Moore on the inside, and Tony Nathan, they converted about 50% of their third downs. The percentage is not quite good enough, not quite the same this year, but with Stratford in there, suddenly they become a lot better team at doing this.
Yeah, they're really the best on third downs. In the last 3 games, though, they've completed 60% of their third down tries, but they won't hear as the quick out is stopped cold. Stratford caught it, but Barney Bussey knocked him out of bounds. Let's go to NFL Live. Bob?
All right, Don, a week ago at San Diego, Vince Abbott's field goal beat the Browns in overtime for the Chargers. Here he is with 12 seconds to play at the Hoosier Dome. Perfect on a 39-yarder. And after trailing 13-0 at the half, the Chargers come back to beat the Colts 16-13 and up their record to 7-1.
Thank you, Bob. And Coach Saunders certainly has to be leading the way to Coach of the Year honors at this point, as San Diego best in the AFC at 7-1. Roby hits a punt and booms it downfield.
Punt.
It's unbelievable. Back to get it is Mike Martin. Changing speeds. He cuts upfield to the 28-yard line. So the Cincinnati Bengals will go on offense again. 1st and 10. They lead the game 7-0. A 57-yard punt by Reggie Roby and a 6-yard return.
Bengals come after this punt. This is the 2nd punt of the season for Reggie Roby. He punted 1 time last week in the last 2 minutes of the game. He is not bothered at all by the pressure. His first punt, a 57-yarder.
James Brooks, ace runner for the Bengals, has now been taken in for x-rays of his injured ankle that he injured on the opening series. It's 1st down and 10 Bengals from their 29-yard line. They lead in the first quarter 7-0. Bill Johnson, who helped him bring the ball downfield 75 yards on that drive in total, gets it on this carry, but not for much. Jackie Shipp, finally playing like a #1 draft choice in his 4th year from Oklahoma, makes the stop.
Don, I tell you, watch this Miami Dolphin defensive line. It is a reading defensive line. They play off the ball. They try to neutralize the offensive lineman. That is, get them up. And this is a pretty big offensive line, the Cincinnati Bengals, to try to do that too. And you see how far off they're playing? Well, they'll just kind of catch and read and see where the ball is going.
Johnson's run it now 6 times. He's gained 43 yards, and with this 5-yard run on 2nd and 5,
that's a
Johnson
fumble.
has 48. Yeah, there's a free ball on the field. Dolphins think they have it.
So Shea that time on the tackle. Looks like Chris Collinsworth is down there. John Offerdahl, Bob Brodzinski. Glenn Blackwood comes out with a football, but I think the officials are signaling Bengals retain possession. Actually, they've signaled nothing yet. Nobody said anything.
Looks like they're going to keep it, though, from Cincinnati.
So it looks like the umpire is now looking to the replay. You know, see, that's the change this year to last year. Last year, the players on the field, the referees on the field didn't ask for the replay. And this year, Don, we've seen several instances when they have. That ball is loose. That is a fumble. That ball is absolutely loose. But look, the Bengals are running a play.
Right back into formation quickly, and here's Esiason on 1st and 10. Going for the distance. McGee can't get to it at the 17-yard line. Good coverage by Paul Langford, who's had his problems this season, but he was stride for stride with the fastest Bengal.
Once again, we'll look at the fumble after that incomplete pass. Johnson protecting the ball. It looks like Soche, number 70, strips it loose, and then I can't tell who recovers it, but it was definitely a fumble. The Bengals retain possession. Sometimes head coaches now have to take timeouts. Let the officials look at it one more time. See if they can't get that turnover.
Sam Weitz did that last week. Eddie Brown comes out wide to the left. It's 2nd down and 10 for Cincinnati. First quarter, 7:55 to play in it. Bengals lead 7-0. Quick out goes to fast Eddie Brown. And he turns ahead on a 2nd and 10 play, and he's ahead for a gain of 9 yards. Langford knocked him out of bounds. Eddie Brown, well remembered in Miami as part of that national championship team quarterbacked by Bernie Kosar. Did some serious damage to the Atlanta defense today.
These are 4 of the finest receivers I think you'll find in the game. The 2 for Cincinnati, Collinsworth and Eddie Brown. Between them, they have 1 touchdown pass, and Eddie Brown has it. For Miami, Clayton and Duper, they have 8 touchdown passes, 4 each.
3rd and short. Larry Kinnebrew, the biggest fullback in the game at 265 pounds, is in. Kinnebrew, both arms on the ball, and a fine play by Glenn Blackwood, and then a penalty marker.
I think that's going to be a clip on Eddie Brown.
Stopped on the play by Glenn Blackwood.
I think what happened is that Eddie Brown was following Blackwood in to make the tackle. Let's see if he got him in the back. Yeah, illegal block in the back. That was by Eddie Brown. Of course, if you're Miami now, you refuse this because it makes it 4th down and about a yard.
Standout play by Glenn Blackwood, who shot the gap, made the hit in the backfield, and got Kinnebrew the only place you can get him to bring him down when you're Glenn Blackwood at 190 pounds against 265-pound Larry Kinnebrew has to get him shin high.
Blackwood's made a career out of that, making those big tackles. As you said, not a very big guy, but certainly one of the most courageous guys to ever play the game. I think they're going to measure here, and then Miami Dolphins can make up their mind what they're going to do. Just see how far it is to that 1st down. Oh, this is a tough choice. This is a very tough choice. The way the Bengals have gained yards,
yep.
I think I'd have to take the penalty if I'm Don Shula, because if they don't, I think they'll go for it. Yeah, he's taking the penalty.
Coach Shula and his staff well turned out in their new Dolphin sweaters.
They look beautiful.
Coach White under the gun here in Cincinnati.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 36. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down. 3rd down.
Okay, so it's 3rd down. That keeps the Bengals' chances alive, and I don't think Don Shula had any other choice. You see 36 Stanford Jennings. He basically shoves Blackwood into Kinnebrew, and that's the penalty. Also makes the tackle, but the Bengals get another down here.
Penalty sets it back to the 40-yard line. Bengals with their 2nd possession. If you joined us late, they went 75 yards in 8 plays.
Look at this. They got 4 receivers over here near side of the field, Don. There they are. See them?
This isn't trips formation. This is quadrupes. 4 to the left. Here's Esiason. They give him time. He can run, too. And now he dumps it off. It'll go for a 1st down to Eddie Brown and some more. As Brown, who's at his best when he catches the ball, takes it inside the 45-yard line of Miami for a 16-yard gain on 3rd and 10.
Don, there were 5 receivers eligible there for the Cincinnati Bengals. No tight ends, spread everywhere. You see the 5 offensive linemen, and the Bengals have enough confidence apparently in pass protection that nobody's going to get to Esiason. But I got to tell you, Miami does a great job of coverage down the field because Eddie Brown is the outlet. He's still able to get the 1st down, and the drive stays alive.
I'd like to welcome those of you who've just watched the Buffalo Bills beat the Denver Broncos 21-14 here in Cincinnati. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy. We're at 7-0 Bengals, and they're driving again on Miami. Dolphins have won 6 of the last 7 meetings between these two teams, last 3 in a row. Miami has not been to Cincinnati to play since 1977 when the Bengals last beat the Dolphins.
There's James Brooks back. They x-rayed his ankle and are now taping up his shoe, I guess. I'm going to try to support it as best they possibly can.
Tremendous part of the Bengal team. They're in the strike. He told the other players, unless you keep working out hard, I'm breaking the line and going back. And that's stepped up the practice regimen. Dump pass, Eddie Brown, open field. He puts on one move and takes it to the 17-yard line. So Esiason against a big rush. Flips it up the middle, the very quick Eddie Brown, who's getting the ball a lot, just like he likes it.
John Offerdahl makes the tackle, and it's a touchdown-saving tackle. That's a 21-yard gain by Eddie Brown. And so far, the Cincinnati Bengals are having their way with this Dolphin defense, much to the surprise of a lot of people. There's Brown, right? He's right behind the linebacker. Offerdahl almost gets his hand on it, 56, and then watch this saving tackle.
But the Bengals are challenging again, and they go right back to the run. Straight ahead drive by big Larry Kinnebrew on the handoff. You see some of the finals coming in. Minnesota beating the Raiders today. Second down and 7 coming up. much beleaguered Bengals under the heat here in Cincinnati for their collapses at the end of games. Starting out like a Super Bowl team today, right through the Dolphins on their first possession to take a 7-0 lead. Now they're doing it again. Handoff. Kinnebrew banging at the Miami Dolphin defense to the 8. Second down and 7. Carry is good for about 5.
Rick Graff finally makes the tackle. Kinnebrew cut back, picked up nice 5 or 6 yards.
We'd like to welcome those of you who've just watched the Minnesota Vikings defeat the LA Raiders 31-20. As the Vikings go to 4-4 and the Raiders slump to 3-5. This is Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at Cincinnati. 4:05 to play first quarter. Clock is running and the Bengals are driving, holding a 7-0 lead against Miami. Third down and 1. Our run again. Slant run by Stanford Jennings is going to be very close to a first down at the 7-yard line. Tackle made by the rookie John Boza.
So far, the Miami Dolphins in this first quarter have run 3 plays, and the Cincinnati Bengals have owned it the rest of the time. There's 3:42 to go in the quarter. They're going to measure. Look at the yards there. 77 for Cincinnati, 3 for Miami. That's just rushing yards.
Only way there is, Trump, to stop Marino is to keep him off the field, and they've done that. The
Yes,
Bengals
they have.
had that as a game plan. Take as much time as they could between plays and run the ball.
This is going to be short, but from the way things have gone, you certainly expect the Bengals to go for the first down as opposed to the field goal. Last week, 5 field goals got the Bengals beat. This too was very similar to the way that the Miami Dolphins game started last week against Pittsburgh. They could do nothing right, absolutely nothing right. But Marino and the Dolphins, 28 second-half points, really buried the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So it's 4th down and less than a foot for the first down for the Bengals. Ball at the 7-yard line, as you see.
What do you think it gets it here? Kinnebrew, 265 pounds.
Huge offensive blocking wall for the Bengals, and it is Kinnebrew with the first down to the 6. But they say free ball, and so does the official. So Kinnebrew coughs it up. The Bengal drive is stopped, and the Dolphins take over.
You can see all the pads on Larry Kinnebrew's hands, and it looked like somebody stripped it away as there's still a Bengal player down on the field. He's got both hands on the football. Looks like Jackie Shipp is in there for a heavy hit, and the ball is loose. And is it David Fry? No, it's Hobley who makes the recovery for Miami.
So the Bengals stall. The Dolphins take over on a turnover, and Marino goes to work when we come back. David Douglas shaken up but appears to be okay on the sideline, the center for the Bengals. But now the Dolphins take over. We would like to welcome those of you who've just watched the Steelers on the late field goal by Anderson. Defeat Kansas City 17-16. It's 7-0 Bengals here in Cincinnati. Miami just stopped a long Bengal drive with a fumble recovery. Kinnebrew gave it up. And the Dolphins go to the run on first down. There is the defensive unit of Cincinnati. Eddie Edwards, he was a #1 out of Miami of Florida some years back. Crumrye, acknowledged by his fellow players as one of the best at his position. Scow is a second-year pass rusher from Nebraska. Reggie Williams been at it for 12 years at the outside backer.
This is an audible. This is an audible here for Dan Marino.
Lots of offense. Defense gives up big plays like that one as Clayton comes up the right flank over the middle of the field on a 2nd down and 8 play. He's out to the 23-yard line, stopped by Lewis Breeden, but it's a first down Miami.
And it appears to me that in the career of Dan Marino, any time he can identify the defense, where he can lock onto the defense, he is almost unstoppable. He recognizes what's going on here, and he gets it out to Clayton for a 13-yard pickup, and the first real gain that Miami's had so far.
Dolphins make it happen fast, though. Marino, play faking, gets time, and then swings it out. With the ball is Lorenzo Hampton on a first down play. He's to the 29-yard line. It's a gain of 8 yards for the Dolphins.
That was a screen, I do believe. The only receiver he's looking for is Lorenzo Hampton, and Hampton gets caught up in the wash. You see him just go out of the... He's waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting. Plenty of time for him to find a receiver. Finally does. And a nice 8-yard pickup by Miami. Now they're rolling, and when this team gets in key and sync, they're unstoppable.
Hampton suffered a concussion last week. They knew he was in trouble. He couldn't give him the name of his girlfriend, who's Olivia Brown from Miami Vice. But now he's back and running well as Hampton gets it again and takes it across the 40-yard line for another Dolphin first down. On 2nd and 2, he busts it from the 29-yard line out to the 43, a 14-yard gain.
Big matchup today is the center Dwight Stevenson All-Pro against the nose tackle Tim Krumrie of the Bengals. Strength against strength. Stevenson, Miami's best offensive lineman. Krumrie, Cincinnati's best defensive lineman. And Stevenson, with one arm, shoved 280 pounds out of his way.
Now the Dolphins starting to move the ball. A quick throw by Marino up the middle of the field. A penalty marker comes in after the pass. Tony Nathan out of the backfield made the reception, but it'll come back. Might be a hold against Miami.
It is. Nathan just picked up again by the Miami Dolphins. Practice this week, was activated.
Dick Hantak is the referee. Two teams that can score anywhere
Holding.
in the field.
Offense, number 79, 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down. First down.
Call is on John Giesler, the left tackle. Giesler back after an extended absence because of injury. Foster and Toth are the guards. Stevenson, the best center in football, down over the ball. Ronnie Lee's the right tackle. Good matchup. The center, Stevenson, who negates most nose tackles, going against Krumrie, who's led the Bengals in tackles for the past 2 seasons. Bradford carries, and Carl Zander, a third-year linebacker from Tennessee, sheds the block and makes the head-on hit. So on 1st and 20, no gain. It'll be 2nd and 20.
This is a long trap run by Miami. You'll see the guard pull Foster. He makes the first block, but frankly, 72 Lee misses his, and that allows Zander to be right there to make the tackle for little or no gain.
Now the first quarter clock runs out. But the Bengals running well. They move that clock quickly as they move the ball, and they've taken a 7-0 lead after the first 15 minutes of play. We'll be back to Riverfront Stadium after this. A short time ago, and one of the most important Bengals, James Brooks, went off with an injured ankle. But even without James Brooks, the Cincinnati Bengals are moving the ball and very well, controlling the clock with their running game trump, and they've taken a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, we thought we see an awful lot of offense today. In the first quarter, Cincinnati ran 19 offensive plays, and Miami just 7. Generally speaking, Miami runs a lot more offense than that. But this is an offense that you just can't shut down for 4 quarters. Eventually, Marino's going to get on the board.
A lot of times, Marino will get on the board. So will Esiason. Going for the distance. Clayton is out there. And it's broken up by a second-year cornerback, Lewis Phillips. One-on-one with one of the best, Mark Clayton, and Phillips almost intercepted the ball, let alone broke up the play. He was a second-round draft choice a year ago out of Northern Alabama.
Excellent coverage by Phillips. Frankly, Clayton looks like the outlet receiver here. It looks like Dan Marino went to him just as a last resort. But that ball bouncing around out there is dangerous for both teams. Easily intercepted, easily made a reception, but it goes as a long incompletion. Now 3rd down and 20. They got an uncovered man out here, Don. Nobody's on the inside receiver.
That's right. Wide open as the slot back near side. That second receiver up from the bottom is uncovered at the moment. Now they drop off on him as Marino goes the other way and makes a connection to James Pruitt. It's a first down for the Dolphins. On 3rd down and 20, Dan Marino, who sets up, takes that picture of the defense and gets rid of it faster than anybody in the game, drills it for 22 yards and a first down.
Actually, I think there the Bengal defense tricked themselves. They were trying to disguise the coverage, and Marino with that rifle arm is able to get it out there. Jackson makes the tackle, and now Lewis Breeden is limping off. He's got a bad ankle. Now look at him read this defense. Watch his eyes. He scans the field, trying to see who's doing what. Steps up to avoid 99 Jason Buck, and a nice completion for 21 yards and a first down.
the second quarter, 14:20 to play in it. Biggest upset of this day was what the ball players found when they got up this morning. It's in the 70s here in Cincinnati. It was cold and rainy yesterday. Dolphins worked out on this field for almost 2 hours. Coach Shula, great believer in working out on the away park. A lot of coaches don't. This time Marino dumps it to Hampton on a 1st and 10 play. Lorenzo Hampton with those quick changing moves drives through the Cincinnati defense and down to the 31-yard line. He gains 14 yards and a 1st down.
Carl Zander finally makes the tackle. This Miami Dolphin team for years has utilized their running backs out of the backfield. You see Bennett 34 and Hampton split. And there the entire thing right in front of you, and then give it to somebody who knows how to carry it. Hampton certainly does.
Duper is on the near flank. That's Clayton at the top of your screen, each with 4 TD catches coming into the game. Williams is blitzing, but Marino is quick to recognize that and go to the area he came from, and he shoots it out quickly to a running back, Troy Stratford. 1st down play, good for another good Miami gain down inside the 25-yard line. Good for
you can see what's happening here. Marino's going to the line of scrimmage, audibling, and now the defense tries to change. What one is trying to do is not show the other one what they're going to do. That was a nice little drag slant. The drag by Troy Stratford. Nice catch.
He knew there was no linebacker coverage there because that's where Williams blitzed from. So now it's 2nd down, call it 3. To the run go the Dolphins behind the right side of their line. Bruce Hardy, Ron Lee, and Tom Toth, and they take it close to the 20 and close to a 1st down. 7-0 Cincinnati in the second quarter.
Troy Stratford has turned out to be a welcome addition to this ball club quickly. Last week, he probably wouldn't have played at all if Lorenzo Hampton had not gotten a hit in the head and a loss of memory. And then, of course, the Dolphins were down to basically 2 running backs. They tried Troy Stratford. Look at his rushing yards. Ended up with something like 256 all-purpose yards. Kickoff returns, punt returns, receptions, and running. 1st down, Miami.
Just get it by the nose of the ball. So with 12:33 to play in the 1st half, the Dolphins looking to tie this game for Coach Shula if they can take it in here. Talking to Shula yesterday about Dan Marino, the fact that there were 26 players and 5 quarterbacks picked ahead of him. Marino was really the 6th player or 6th quarterback picked in the '83 draft. Shula said, I guess the other league had it right. USFL picked him number 1. And who played with and coached John Unitas and said there has never, ever been anything close to Marino. Marino fires. He's got a receiver down inside the 10-yard line. With wideouts, the Marx brothers aren't big, but they're great athletes, and Clayton goes high to come down with the ball for another Dolphin 1st down. It'll be 1st and goal.
The amazing thing about Dan Marino is he finds the one guy where there's single coverage. It's Clayton. Throws it over Emmanuel King, number 90. Ray Horton is the man in coverage, giving a lot of ground to the super speed of Mark Clayton. And Marino finds that guy, the one guy with man coverage.
See Clayton averaging almost 19 yards a catch. The Dolphins appear close to tying this one up. They're down 7-0.
Audible again.
Marino checking off, changes the play. He's good at it. Another throw, another catch inside the 5-yard line and down to the 4 to Troy Stratford. Now, while we have a moment, let's go back to NFL Live and Bob Costas. Bob?
Don at Green Bay, time running out. Packers leading the Bears by 1. Kevin Butler as time expires. A 52-yard attempt? Yes. 26-24. The Bears defeat the Packers, and the Butler did it. Chicago is 7-1.
Those poor Packers have to be about ready to go in the lake. One game they want to win. That's it. Pitch back. Running hard is Stratford, and he takes it down close to the 2-yard line on 2nd and goal from the 5. More running than we expected, Trump, in this game.
I think the running basically is to keep the defense honest. Troy Stratford on the carry, and there's also a Bengal still down. It's Carl Zander, 91, the linebacker. We've already had James Brooks go in for x-rays. Rodney Holman out, the center out. Louis Breeden, and now Carl Zander. They're dropping like flies.
My grandfather.
This is Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy back at Cincinnati, where the Bengals lead 7-0, but the Dolphins are close. They have it 3rd and goal coming up from the 2. As you look at the scoreboard, the Eagles with an upset of the Redskins today. Cleveland blows away Atlanta. Dan Marino, 2 receivers set to the right. Now he brings Hardy, the tight end, in motion. They're going to run the ball, and here's the handoff. With it, down close, but not in, is Troy Stradford. Tim Crumry, the nose tackle, made the stop. One of our spotters is the very excellent young tight end for the Dolphins, who's out with an injury, Dan Johnson.
Let's watch this play once again. What they're trying to do here with this motion is just get some disruption in the defense. But Crumry is on the ground. Stevenson gets him on the ground. Crumry then gets up and makes the tackle. And now Robert Jackson, number 37 for the Bengals, limps off. And the Dolphins are going for it on 4th down here, Don.
David Lewis is in the game, a backup tight end. Back to the run, over the top and on into the end zone for a touchdown is the rookie Troy Stradford. So over the top he goes, and it's now a 7-6 ball game with the extra point coming up and 9:12 to play in the first half.
Looked like Dwight Stones, didn't he?
He can get up.
Offensive left side of that line did an excellent job. David Lewis helps a little bit, but the offensive line gets everybody down. And then a poor imitation of the Fosbury flop, but you're going for yards, not height, and he scores.
They're really pleased, though, getting him in the 4th round from Troy Stradford out of Boston College. Now the extra point by Reveiz is powered up and through, and the Miami Dolphins tie the game at 7.
That was
15 plays.
15-play drive, 94 yards, 9 minutes and 8 seconds by the Miami Dolphins, and Troy Stradford goes the final 8 to 10 inches for the Dolphins' first score.
Miami and Cincinnati are tied 7-7 in the 2nd quarter, and this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Quad Reveiz, a long-distance kickoff man, ready to hit the ball. Tim McGee is back deep for Cincinnati. High kick. It'll carry down to the goal line, and here comes McGee. Good special teams coverage by the Dolphins as they sweep him under, and now while the offense comes out, let's go to NFL Live. Bob?
Well, Don, we showed you Kevin Butler's 52-yarder to win it. In St. Louis, Donald Igwebuike misses from 53 as it hits the crossbar for Tampa Bay. That could have tied it. Time expires on the missed kick. St. Louis, with 4 fourth-quarter touchdowns, rallies and beats the Tampa Bay Bucks 31-28.
Big news is St. Louis wins the game. Phoenix wants the Cardinals. Baltimore does. Jacksonville does. Somebody said everybody wants the Cardinals but St. Louis. Here's a throw downfield and a catch for a first down. As Eric Caddis, the tight end from Michigan, who caught the touchdown pass on the opening drive, goes up in the air and comes down with the ball, and he gets it out to the 35-yard line.
Excellent pass protection by Cincinnati. Allows Boomer Esiason the time to look around to find somebody. Plenty of time there. It ends up being a 19-yard completion. Good concentration on the football. That was the 20th play run by Cincinnati. Miami has now run 17, so the offenses have evened up a little bit.
And the Bengals continue to huddle and line up at their leisure, running as much clock as they can. Marino can't score when he's not out there. Johnson drives the ball across the 35-yard line on a 1st and 10 play and is thrown back by inside linebacker John Offerdahl from Western Michigan, who went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie for the Dolphins when he led them in tackles.
Every running play you have got to get at least one guy on John Offerdahl, one of the most active middle linebackers in the game today. He plays the offside middle linebacker. Jackie Schiff takes on the blockers, and Offerdahl, an excellent tackler, very seldom misses.
They try to free him, keep him from getting blocked so he can run and tackle, which he did there. Now 2nd down and 8 comes up for Cincinnati in this tie game. Esiason looking deep, lets it go. Collinsworth has a step on the defense, and the ball is broken free at the 15-yard line.
Great defensive play.
Langford knocked it away. He came across. It really was Collinsworth with very deceptive speed. He burned the corner, had a couple steps on it.
Looked like the safety Brown is able to get over there just at the that's Blackwood, 47. just at the last split second, that ball was up in the air a long time and allowed the safety to get over there. Esiason now 6 of 8 for 92 yards. Yeah, Eddie Brown is the only wide receiver by the Bengals with a touchdown.
Esiason has thrown the ball 8 times, has completed 6 for 92 yards and a touchdown. Been 1 turnover. Cincinnati's second drive, a sustained offensive 65 yards, but Kennebrew fumbled down close. Miami has since tied the game at 7. Throw and too much on it for Tim McGee. Good coverage by Miami's secondary. Esiason did the right thing with a lot of players around the ball, kept it high, and so it's not intercepted, but it is incomplete, and the Bengals punt.
That was one of the few times Miami showed the blitz. They had good man-on-man coverage on McGee, and Esiason overthrew the receiver. So, as we documented at the outset of this ball game, we thought every drive, somebody had to score.
Schwades is back to field the punt as Fulhaig. A replacement season punter picked up by the team again. Doesn't hit it very well, and up back Glenn Blackwood takes it. Gets a block from Schwades. And Blackwood is cut down at the 30-yard line. So there the Dolphins come up, end out their offense with 7:16 to play in the first half, and the score tied Miami 7 and Cincinnati 7.
This game is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. To arrange a thorough test drive, phone your nearest BMW dealer. By Coors, the beer with a difference worth tasting. Coors is the one. And by the Industrial Tool Division of Black & Decker.
We have 7:16 to go in the first half. The Dolphins with the ball. The game is tied 7-7. Cincinnati scored on the opening drive. Dolphins scored last time they had it, and here comes Marino. Downfield, he's almost picked off by the strong safety David Fulcher as he tried to get the ball to Bruce Hardy on a 1st and 10 play. Games in progress around the National Football League. San Francisco up on Houston. New Orleans laying waste to the Rams. Detroit, an underdog at home, beating Dallas at the moment. Big story is that in the AFC is San Diego off to a 7-1 start. It was a 4-12 team a season ago. San Diego beat the Colts today on a late field goal. Run with the ball is Troy Stratford, the 5'9", 190-pound rookie runner. He doesn't get much on 2nd and 10, so Marino will be gunning it downfield.
On last week, Dan Marino was 25 of 31. That was just over 80% complete. So far in his first half, 8 of 10 for 84 yards.
Since the strike is normally phenomenal, numbers have been extra phenomenal.
Off the chart.
Now he spreads out. The Bengal defense sending wideouts in pairs to either side. Nobody checks that defense and lets her go quicker than Marino, although they do have a sack against him today. He looks, he fires, he throws a strike. He's got a 1st down out to the 46-yard line. Fastball pitcher. Both of these quarterbacks were excellent baseball prospects, both highly recruited, sought after by major league teams and colleges for baseball.
Troy Stratford, the receiver. Barney Bussey, the defender. Watch him scan that field. Now he's picked out his receiver. He's waiting. He sees the one guy again with man-to-man coverage, a 13-yard gain, and once again the Dolphins convert a big 3rd down. Look at that. Excellent pattern run by Stratford. Marino puts it right on the money.
Dan Marino drops to throw, swings it out, and with the ball is Lorenzo Hampton. Earlier I mentioned that Lorenzo Hampton's girlfriend is Olivia Brown from Miami Vice. That information provided me by Jeff Bloom of the Miami Dolphin Public Relations Department. We just received a call from Olivia Brown, who says she is not his girlfriend. She's happily married. His girlfriend is Olivia Ellis, who's from New York. Well, so your letters go to Jeff Bloom, friends.
All things considered, I'm glad you said that. There's Mark Clayton on the sideline. Like the doctors are attending to him. Pruitt's in there now taking Clayton's place. 2nd down and 15 for the Dolphins now. Look at him. Boy, he's surveying the field there.
Marino looked like he changed his mind as he was moving it forward. The throw errant. Hampton was the intended receiver of sorts. So the clock is stopped with 5:07 to play in the first half. It's a 7-7 game.
You can certainly see what Cincinnati is trying desperately to do, and that is give Dan Marino a false read. Make him think it's one defense and then change into another one. That's really the first time that he appears to have been confused at all by what the defense was.
Up to sack him. They got him today once, but over his career, they sack Marino on the average only once every 36 pass attempts. Third down. 24, about 14 yards to go for the first down as Marino sprints out. Penalty marker down. A throw and a catch to Jim Jensen.
That's against Miami for holding.
The play comes back. Be very close to a first down if it went where they spot the ball at the 43-yard line of Cincinnati.
Dolphins tried to roll, and it looked like Jim Scow got inside of Roy Foster. Maybe it was Dwight Stevenson. I'm not sure who it was, but somebody just pulled the defensive lineman down. And of course, the Bengals have to accept the penalty because the Dolphins picked up enough for the first down.
Holding. Offense. Number 22. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down. Third down.
On Tony Nathan? Well, I didn't think it was Tony Nathan. I thought it was an offensive lineman up front.
We'll watch him from the slot here, Trump.
Let's see if we can pick it up when they roll right. Yeah, it is Tony Nathan. Watch him just tackle Jim Scow, number 70. Yep, 22 is correct. There's the penalty.
The right thing to do rather than let somebody get a free shot on Marino. One play, not the franchise. Another blitz. Marino dumps it off, and he gets it out to Stratford, weaving his way, but on this very long yardage play, 3rd and 25, the Dolphins don't come close. The Bengal defense stops them, and now their punt return man, Mike Martin, is on the field. Coming on a blitz was the strong safety, David Fulcher.
Bengals took a big chance there. All-out blitz. Frankly, Miami had the right play call.
Roby almost had his first punt blocked, but when he unloaded it was good for 58 yards. He was hurt in the first game of the season. Finally came back, injured his leg at New England. Mike Martin, the deep man, back at the 18. Another big rush. They might have got a piece of the ball if they did, and he shanked it. But it does take a Dolphin hop downfield and rolls again inside the 25 and down close to the 20-yard line. So the Bengals will go from their 20 with 3:38 to play in the first half, and the score 7-7. Next Saturday on NBC Sports, some of the great ones will be teeing it up in Hawaii. 3:30 Eastern time. 3:38 to play first half. 7-7 game. Bengals have the ball, 1st and 10 from their 20. To the run they go. And Jennings takes the ball out to the 22. And Trump, we haven't seen Kennebrew carry the ball since he fumbled it.
That is correct. James Brooks also out of the ball game with that bad ankle. So now it's Stanford Jennings and Bill Johnson in the backfield for Cincinnati. Both can carry the ball well. Neither as good a receiver as James Brooks.
James Brooks with the bad ankle. Boomer Esiason
Steak and Ale
was drafted in the 2nd round out of the University of Maryland. Was a Pro Bowl player last January for the AFC. Ready to throw with needing 7. Incomplete at the 36-yard line, and a marker comes in, and the intended receiver is down. Took a shot maybe before the ball got there. Collinsworth was hit.
William Judson on the coverage, a slant in, and it looked like Judson's hand went right across the face of Collinsworth.
Number 43, first down.
Bud Brown they're calling. It looked like his hand went right across Chris Collinsworth's face. You see the pass coming here. Bud Brown is the one that dings him right on the helmet, it looks like. Judson is the one that the penalty is called on. How about the flag? Well, they got it. Collinsworth now comes in, or comes off onto the bench, and McGee and Eddie Brown in the game.
First down on the penalty for Cincinnati. Ball at their 33-yard line. Second back is Stanford Jennings. Running hard behind a good block. He gets to the 40-yard line. Boza knocked him down. The right end, number 97.
As we mentioned at the outset of the ball game, the way this team gives up points in the second half, every drive is absolutely crucial to the Bengals' chances. First drive was very impressive. Then the fumble by Kennebrew, and then the punt, and now this drive.
One of the coaches telling us yesterday, Chuck Studley, Trump, that the Bengals get off about 80 plays a game. That's as many or more than any team in football, and you can't have that if you're going to beat them. They're on their way to getting 80 plays off today. The game is tied, though, 7-7 as Johnson runs the ball on 2nd and 4. He's close to a first down.
Both these quarterbacks today red hot. Esiason is 6 for 9, and at last count, Esiason was 8 of 10. The big guy in the Miami defense is John Offerdahl. You see him 56, and those reading defensive linemen, Soche and everybody up there at the line, they try to clear the way for Offerdahl to make the tackle. Max Montoya, 65, does a good job of getting him off the line.
Then one turnover. That was a fumble by Cincinnati at the 6-yard line of the Dolphins. Miami went 94 for. And we'll be checking the scores and the stories and the big plays at halftime with Bob Costas and crew at NFL Live. There are 2 7-1 teams at the moment. San Diego in the AFC and the Bears in the NFC. Redskins went to 6-2. They were beaten today, and San Francisco is looking to go to 7-1, is leading Houston at the moment. 1:59 to play in the first half. Game is tied 7-7. Bengals have it 1st and 10.
Blitz.
Esiason looking deep. Now they get him. Play ball. And it's still free, and it could go in. The pickup drill works for Miami. The Dolphins will have it point blank, 1st and goal, as the Bengals self-destruct again.
Joe Walter was the guy who was there to get on the ball. He did not have complete control of it.
Offerdahl made the hit, Trump.
Excellent job by the Miami defense. They run a game up front. You see Esiason hangs on too long. 56 Offerdahl, 70 Soche, Brown 51. Now watch 63. All he's got to do is, oh, wait a minute. On replay, he was on the ground enough, and it was knocked away by the Miami Dolphins. That ball was knocked away by Miami. That ends up being a 41-yard loss. Sam White's just saying he was down, and frankly, I agree with Sam White. Watch what happens. Watch what happens when Walter rolls over.
Bengals are calling a timeout.
56 Offerdahl makes the hit. Now watch what happens. He picks up the ball, then rolls over, and Turner hits the ball loose. The Bengals have taken a timeout. Last week they did that, and they had a fumble overturned by the officials. But the replay is at every one of these games again. He's got the ball, and Turner, 95, knocks the ball loose. So we'll see what happens. In my estimation, Cincinnati should get the ball back.
Jack Reeder's up there reviewing the tape. Sam White, who's seen disaster befall his team many times this season, hoping for the best. Boomer Esiason, somebody asked him during the week, what do you have to do to turn this around? He said, probably get an exorcist. Get the demons out.
They even tried that here in Cincinnati, a local radio station.
Really?
Cops threw them out.
Our producer today for NBC Sports is David Neal. Our director, Richard Klein. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer of NFL football, Ted Nathanson. We have 1:45 to go in the first half. 7-7 is the count, as the Bengals wait to see what the officials decide.
They're looking.
So do the Dolphins.
They're looking. I don't think there's any question whatsoever that Walters had the ball, and the ball was knocked loose by T.J. Turner. No question at all. But the Dolphins offense is on the field, and the Bengals team is assembled at the near sideline.
Don Weiss from the NFL also up there.
Jack Reeder just stood up.
He's a longtime official, now working with the NFL league office, Jack Reeder.
Again, we'll take a look at it.
Hey, you might as well wait and get it right.
Sure. They're showing it on the replay board here. It appears to me he has possession there. Turner knocks it loose. There's no way that's a fumble from that point on.
No, it certainly didn't look like it. faithful might be coming out of the stands here. They're looking at the matrix high above the field.
And last week, Cincinnati got 15 penalties, and it's been well documented that after the reversal, the timeout taken by Sam Whites to have another look at the replay, there were 13 penalties called on Cincinnati after that, and there were 2. This is historic. You don't normally see controversial plays shown on the replay board.
You do when you're at home, though, and it goes against you.
Anyway, as I was saying, there were 13 penalties called on the Bengals after that timeout for a reversal of a fumble. 13 penalties to 2 called against Houston for the rest of the game. I don't know what's taking so long.
They want to get it right.
And remember,
it's a good idea.
They want conclusive evidence. It looks like they've already made the call. Reggie Williams is motioning that it's the Bengals' ball. See what happens here.
Whatever the call, either way, you're going to hear monstrous emotion.
Yeah, the umpire is Gordon Wells. He's the guy who was in communication with the instant replay booth. He relays that information to the referee, and the referee has either the good news or the bad news for somebody.
Good news for the Bengals. They'll keep the ball.
Let's just wait.
At least their offense is going back out.
Now, I tell you what took them so long. They had to find out where the fumble took place to replace the ball for Cincinnati. We didn't figure on that, but they got a
further review. That has been ruled. Cincinnati had possession and down at the 18-yard line. It will be the second down. There was not a charged timeout to Cincinnati. Cincinnati has all 3 timeouts remaining.
Whoa. Now, why is that? I don't know how they got the timeout back.
Coach Shula accepts it in good fashion.
Ends up being a 26-yard loss, but the Bengals do retain possession of the football.
Well, if it went the other way, it would have been a touchdown in about 3 seconds after Miami put the ball in play.
First down,
goal at the 6.
Second down and 36 now for Cincinnati.
With 1:37 to play and the clock running, here's an out pattern, and looking to get out of bounds, and doing it is Eddie Brown. He crosses the 25-yard line to about the 27, run out of bounds by the right corner, William Judson. Houston staying close at San Francisco. Rams still nowhere. They're a playoff team, going to go to 1-7 if they don't come back today. Dallas gets on the board at Pontiac and trails the Lions 10-7. But that was a good illustration of the replay system at its best. It's there to correct official mistakes, that they get a second look, and it proved to be very beneficial.
And of course, the long look was just to figure out where in fact the ball should be placed.
.130 to go. A tip ball. Esiason tried to catch it himself.
That would have been a bad idea, but T.J. Turner, 95, got his hand up in the air.
Throw it again.
And that stops the drive by Cincinnati. So Miami's got 3 timeouts left and 1:26 left. And on this roll, watch Turner, 95, get his hand up. After the pass rush, get your hand up. Oh, that looked like a jump ball.
So the Bengals have to give it back to the Dolphins. The Bengals, a team that has lost 3 straight, the last 2 by a combined total of 5 points.
They're going after this one.
Fulhay gets an end-over-end kick, but Schwede, first-year player from Syracuse, will bring it back. He's done very well returning kicks, averaging over 13 yards a punt return. His dad was a tremendous player for Syracuse last national championship team, Gerhard Schwede's, back in '59. We'll be back with the final 1:15 of the first half in a moment. It's a 7-7 game. Not a lot of points so far. What we thought might be an NBA score, Trump, but there's been a lot of unusual plays to go along with the big one.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, you give Dan Marino and Miami a minute and 15 seconds at the end of the half, and I don't think there's any team better in football. It has been a little strange in the first half in that each team has had a very long drive, and that's basically eaten up the first half time. But there's a lot more points out of these 2 teams before this game's over.
And the weather stays very warm. It is still in the high 70s here in Cincinnati, as right now you'll see Mr. Marino, just like he likes it, 3 times out. And a long way to go, but those timeouts, along with his quick right arm, can get him there in a hurry.
That's 2 straight weeks that Marino has just been spectacular in the completion percentage. Last week, 25 of 31 for the game. That's a great half. And remember that even though this score is tied, it bodes very poorly for the Cincinnati Bengals, who have been outscored 108 to 42 in the second half. And of course, Miami last week with 28 second half points. This team does an excellent job of adjusting at halftime.
You're saying the Bengals did bring in an exorcist or looking for some.
They tried everything. The Bengals didn't, but a local radio station did. And the police cut short the exorcism.
Marino calls the play. He can do it with hand signals. He can call the play. He can call the line blocking. And here's a handoff to Nathan as they get the Bengals coming in an all-out blitz. He gets ahead for about 8 yards. Game clock ticking on down now to 1:05 and running. Marino aligns his team and calls the play again. No timeout. They have 3 remaining.
Frankly, Don, this play has already been called. He's just calling, identifying the defense.
Mark Clayton has not been on the field this series, and he must have an injury or he'd be there. Throwing a catch. First down. No, Jensen lost it. Let's see if he had it and lost it.
Well, if they don't make any decision. Now, one guy finally says incomplete pass. One of the things the replay has done is put a lot of indecision into the referee's mind. All these officiating crews now wait. Now, the rule here is possession, second foot down. Jensen is the receiver. In there. 1.
Down.
No, never had it. Never had it. Incomplete. They don't even wait for the replay. They go on.
Seconds to play in the first half. 3rd down and 2 coming up for the Dolphins in this tied game. 7-7. Marino. 4 wide receivers in the game. Bengals have done well for the most part defending against the long ball. He hasn't hit the big pass yet. Again, he has to go short, gets a first down, but time's so much a factor now, and the clock's down to 36 seconds.
Goes to old reliable, just activated Tony Nathan. Dan Marino certainly comfortable with. He calls the play from the shotgun.
Eric Davis of the Reds doesn't play any deeper in center field than these Cincinnati deep backs. They're way back, and now a nice breakup. James Pruitt was the intended receiver. Eric Thomas and Ray Horton were covering, and the rookie Eric Thomas tipped it away, number 22.
Horton makes the hit. See the receiver Pruitt down there trying to make the catch. This clips his heels. That makes it 2nd down now, and Miami takes a timeout. They want to regroup a little bit here, go to some counsel on the sideline with Sandusky, with Don Strock and Don Shula.
We mentioned earlier Dan Johnson, normally starting tight end for Miami, one of their better players who's been out for 9 weeks with a broken foot's coming back next week. One of our spotters. Dan, what do they go to here? They're not hitting that deep ball.
No, they're just going to drop off and throw like Tony or Troy underneath because they're dropping way deep.
There's no long ball out there for Marino, huh?
Not this situation, no.
Game is tied 7-7 with 18 seconds to play in the first half. At halftime, we'll be going to New York to NFL Live. As the season starts into the stretch now, this is the 8th Sunday of play in a 15-game season, and this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Bengals and the National Football League is prohibited.
Dolphins have 2 timeouts left, just inside the Cincinnati territory. See what the Bengals deploy here defensively. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defensive backs, it looks like. A linebacker, 1, Joe Kelly. That means a 4-man rush. Now Marino will call at least 2 plays, and then you always have that automatic play, whatever the signal is, one that gives you the 3rd play. 18 seconds left and 2 timeouts.
Tell you at halftime, Trump, the defensive coaches might give out game balls to the defensive players. This is a moral victory for both defenses to hold these tremendous offenses to just 7 so far. Throw and a catch. A lateral. Now it's rolled in No good. It hit the ground.
That's what they were trying, the hook and lateral. Trying to get the ball to the
Duper's
receiver.
hurt. Mark Duper's the guy that caught the ball and flipped it back, and he's down. And
looked like he hit his back. He was going to lateral that ball back to Troy Stratford. It almost worked. But a big hit by a defensive back when Duper was in the air. Looks like, among other things, it knocked the wind out of him. Now watch what happens. This is a superbly timed play. See who the hit. I can't pick up who makes the hit, but the ball hits the ground, and therefore it's an incomplete pass. Stratford gets caught up in the defensive wash there, and Duper does go up to make the catch. Looks like Lewis Billups, 24, was the guy who made the hit, and Duper is back up on his feet. I think he had the wind knocked out of him.
That's good to see. What a player.
Yeah, because Clayton's already on the bench.
Mark Duper now in his 6th year from Northwest Louisiana. A remarkable thing about the super-powered offensive players for the Dolphins, how young they are. Marino's 26 years old. Clayton's 26. Duper's 27.
Duper has no catches yet today either. The bulk of the receiving has been done by the underneath guys. Stratford, Nathan, the tight end.
Right now, Trump, both Clayton and Duper on the sideline, both shaken up in this game. The Marks brothers, somebody said they were matched against the Lewis brothers. The Bengals started at the corners today. Lewis Breeden and Lewis Billups.
Now you got Schwade's in, you got Pruitt in, Crash Jensen is in, and
got a
Hardy.
tight end as a wide receiver, Bruce Hardy. Trips formation, 3 receivers to the right at the top. 12 seconds to play in the half. 7-7 game. Marino fires and has an open man. James Pruitt catches the ball. He's down to the 30, and the Dolphins quickly and are allotted a timeout with 4 seconds left.
That'll be about a 48-yard attempt by Fuad Reveiz.
Yep. He can get it that far with no problem. He's one of the power kickers in the league.
Actually, Pruitt does a very smart thing at the end of this. It ends up being a 22-yard pickup. And you see it's total zone everywhere, and Ray Horton goes to the outside to cover Jensen. Now watch him get on the ground. He gets on the ground, and that allows Marino to call the timeout. Reveiz on for the field goal attempt. Word on Clayton is that a possible concussion, and it looked like Duper just got the wind knocked out of him. But Fuad from, will it be close to, yeah, it'll be close to 47, 48 yards.
Reveiz hasn't had many tries this year. You see, he's 2 for 2 for the season. He's 1 for 1 from 49 and in. It's going to be a 48-yarder. He can really unload. Fuad Reveiz from Tennessee. Don Strock, the veteran quarterback, is his holder. Down the way, it's going to be far enough, and he's got it. Big hit by Reveiz as he is congratulated roundly on the field, and that ends the first half. So a long field goal by Reveiz breaks the tie, and the Dolphins come back with 10 unanswered points and take a 10-7 halftime lead. NFL Live halftime activities will continue in a moment after these messages from your local station. Proved not good news for the Bengals. He'll not play in the second half. And it's also interesting to note that the 2 top receivers for the Miami Dolphins, Clayton and Duper, are both out for much of the second quarter. We'll see if they play in the third quarter. Right now, ready to kick it off, as this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers.
We'll check on Clayton and Duper as quickly as we possibly can as Miami starts the second half with the ball.
Told now that Clayton should be back. We're no word yet on Duper. A squib kick. Lots of people going for the ball. Looks like the Dolphins will get it at their 28-yard line.
I think Bruce Hardy was the guy who comes up with the recovery. Turned out to be pretty even in the first half that was owned by Cincinnati, was recaptured by the Dolphins in the second half. Total yards, Bengals up by about 30. Both quarterbacks throwing very high completion percentage. The 1 turnover, the fumble by Larry Kennebrew at the 2-yard line that the Dolphins took down and on that drive scored.
First down and 10 for Marino. Quick out. Drills the ball on target out to the 34-yard line to Pruitt, a second-year receiver from Talbot Fullerton. And he's ahead for a gain of about 7 yards. Knocked out of bounds by Ray Horton.
If you're a Miami fan,
Oh,
you gotta like this graphic. Of course, especially since Miami came up with 28 second-half points last week. Bengals have just tripped all over themselves in the second half so far each game in this season.
The biggest thing that my Dolphins got going today, Trump, it's Mother Nature. Temperature in the high 70s. A shirt sleeve crowd on the 8th of November. It can be freezing here now. It was yesterday. Here's a handoff. Hampton runs the ball for a first down out to the 40-yard line. Second and 2 plays, knocked down by the nose tackle of the Bengals, Tim Crumry.
Those points at the end of the first half, that 47-yard field goal by Fuad Reves. And we do see Mark Clayton back in the ball game. Duper still out. Pruitt is the other wide receiver. Those points at the end of a half or beginning of the half are worth almost double because it establishes some momentum.
Bengals have done a good job taking the deep throw away from Marino. Looking long, quick out again. Another timing pattern to Pruitt, a live, rangy receiver who had a great training camp and made the team is getting the ball more and more now. 2 quick receptions here in the third quarter. Another first down. This one was on Lewis Billups, the second-year cornerback.
Look at the cushion that Billups allows James Pruitt. You can see he's almost 4 yards off. It ends up being a 12-yard gain. A great timing pattern between Marino and Pruitt, and they make it look easy.
12-yard pickup advances the ball to the 46-yard line of Cincinnati. Miami has scored the last 10 points of this game. Scored them in the second quarter to come from behind. Bengals led 7-0 after the first quarter. 10-7 game, and Marino is sacked for a second time. Only the 4th time he's been sacked all year.
Tim Crumry, the nose tackle, of course, his assignment, beat Dwight Stevenson, the best center in the game. That's number 2 for Cincinnati. And we'll be able to see it from right behind the defense. Crumry shoves Dwight Stevenson back. Roy Foster tries to help out. Eddie Edwards, 73 there, quickly to make him get out of the pocket, and Crumry with the sack.
Defensive front for the Bengals, Eddie Edwards, Tim Crumry, and Jim Scow. Manuel King, Carl Zander, Joe Kelly, and Reggie Williams back the line as Marino goes on second and long, dumps it over the middle. Running in the open field is Lorenzo Hampton. Look at that block as Hampton is sprung now inside the 40 and thrown back. They'll rule his forward progress to the 39-yard line. The play was dead, not a free ball, but almost. Ray Horton and Robert Jackson ran him down. Let's watch this block, Trump.
There were actually 2 of them. Clayton gets one right after he makes the reception. You'll see right there's one, and here comes the other one. There's Clayton right there. The first one I take back, I think it was Tony Nathan.
So Clayton's over the concussion. 17-yard gain, and now it brings up 3rd down and 2. Marino looks at Jensen, goes to him. First down and more as Crash Jensen takes on a defender and gets ahead to the 33-yard line.
They are eating this defense up. This is exactly the way the Bengals started against the Miami defense. And now Miami comes out, starts the second half, and really abusing the Bengal defense.
Making those adjustments all important now. We'll see if the Bengals can keep Marino from hitting the deep ball, but he's been going underneath as the zone drops back. And now with first down and 10 coming up from the 33, Marino set to run the ball as he goes to Lorenzo Hampton. And Hampton does it pretty much on his own, getting down to the 29-yard line for a gain of 3.
Again, back to that matchup, Tim Crumry versus Dwight Stevenson. And Stevenson and Toth do a pretty good job. Toth really handles him pretty much by himself there. Hampton, an excellent runner, breaks to the outside. That's been a real problem for the Bengals. The Dolphins have second down and 18 and convert it in 2 downs.
Shula said, Trump, about Marino, the difference between him and other quarterbacks. They throw completions, he throws touchdowns. He hasn't thrown one yet today, though, and now the ball caroms off the shoulder pads of Lorenzo Hampton inside the 25-yard line on a 3rd down and 6 play.
He let it get to him. Tried to trap
2nd and 6.
Tried to trap that thing off his shoulder pads as opposed to trying to extend his hands to make the catch.
Our producer David Neal, just in touch with the Dolphins, gets word that Mark Duper out with a cracked rib on that play late in the 2nd quarter. So a very difficult development now for Shula, and the Dolphins, as one of their best, will not be back today. Just as one of the best for the Bengals is out, James Brooks, their all-purpose runner.
Audible again by Marino. Looks like a blitz, all-out blitz by the Bengals.
3rd and 6. Marino looks, triggers it. Ball is caught. Now it's stripped free. Clayton had it, and Lewis Phillips knocked it free. Clayton was ready to head for the end zone, but didn't have the ball.
Someone is untouched up through the middle here. Skip McClendon, 72. Marino stands in there, still gets it off. Phillips just puts a hand in and stops the reception by Clayton. This is almost a huge play. This is great defense by Phillips, and those defensive backs have been eaten up so far today, but that time the Bengal defensive back does the job.
But here's Reves now as the Dolphins look to extend their lead to 13-7. 46-yard attempt. Plenty of distance, but he's wide left. And so the Dolphins drive down the field on their first possession of the 2nd half, but come up short, come up wide on the field goal, and the Bengals take over when we come back.
Today's game is brought to you by Mazda, bringing performance and value together. That's the Mazda way. By Hewlett-Packard, computer solutions from the people who never stop asking, what if? And by the U.S. Marine Corps, we're looking for a few good men.
Dick LeBeau signaling to his defense. Another of the defensive coaches, Seltzer, also in. As right now, the Cincinnati offense is on the field. Bengals down by 3, 3rd quarter. Long ball, too high for Eddie Brown at the 45-yard line.
You know, if Boomer Esiason in his career has had a problem, that's the problem. Throwing the ball too high. William Judson is the cornerback. The receiver was open, and sometimes Boomer he kind of flings it out there because of the strength of his arm. And if that ball's on the money, Eddie Brown makes the catch.
Back to the action now as a swing pass goes to Collinsworth, running underneath. A live tall receiver from Florida had it and lost it. Dolphins think they have it.
I don't think they had the reception. Mark Brown made the hit. That ball rolled out of bounds. The Bengals retained possession. You see Collinsworth right underneath. He tries to split the two guys. And that ball is rolling loose, and luckily he hits it with his arm. No one can recover it before it goes out of bounds.
1st down and 10 for the Bengals. They trail 10-7. 11:02 to play in the 3rd quarter at Cincinnati. Esiason against the blitz. He pays, gets the ball away, but struck hard from the blind side. Coming was Bob Brudzinski, the veteran linebacker from Ohio State. Wasn't picked up at all, running free to hit the quarterback.
Esiason can feel this pressure, but Brudzinski with a good head of steam right there to hit him right between the shoulder blades.
Boomer now at these numbers, Trump.
8 of 14, 111 yards and 1 touchdown. Last week Esiason 26 of 41, 387 yards. And the Dolphin defense for the most part has done a pretty good job. I give him that much credit against Esiason.
Esiason said he was recruited by only one major college for football, Maryland, by every major college for baseball. 15-0 as a left-handed pitcher as a senior. Now he uses that left arm to get the ball to Rodney Holman, ahead for a Bengal 1st down to the Miami 45-yard line. Brudzinski made the stop, but he made it 15 yards downfield.
Interesting play call here. Looks like they're running the screen. And then Boomer comes back to the other side where there's no one there, and Brudzinski stays home and makes the tackle. That's a 16-yard gain. And now the Bengals are rolling.
Reverse. McGee back to Boomer. There's a lot of coverage there, but here's an open man in Holman, and he loses the ball at the 28. They were looking to go to Collinsworth, but connections were a little slow in being pulled off as they reversed the ball 3 times. Finally back to Boomer. William Judson broke it up.
Now the problem with this play is the receiver's got to go after it. You fake the block, then the reverse. Brown should let him go, and then you release. But now watch, he waits for the football. He just waits there for it. Go up and get that ball. Jump up there and get it. If he does, it's a completion. You can't wait for that football. You got people coming at you from 360 different degrees.
Well, it goes an incomplete pass, and it's now 2nd down and 10. Dolphins 10, Bengals 7, 10:16 to play in the 3rd quarter. And actually a balmy day in Cincinnati. Boomer lets it fly again, and Boomer,
he got
never
hammered.
Saw that one. Flat on his face after he delivered the ball.
T.J. Turner absolutely hammered him. Now Turner is across from Joe Walter. Boomer's able to get it off. And watch Turner all of a sudden just appear. Whoa. Throws him down.
It's coming from the left side of the Miami defense. It won't come through the right side. Munoz, the best tackle in football, didn't give up a sack all of last season. Has given up none this year.
Bengals have not run the ball yet in this 2nd half. Look at this formation. 5 wide receivers.
4 on the left side. Another high throw. Tyson getting rid of it quickly, and with good reason, as the Dolphins are generating a much better pass rush. So the offense comes out for the Bengals, and not to a happy chorus of boos in the stand.
Bud Brown is the man in coverage. Watch Eddie Brown. He's open now. Boomer waits just a little too long, and again the ball is thrown too high and too hard, and it goes as an incompletion. So Scott Fulheg in to punt again.
He's hit 2 today for 38 yards. Schwades, the rookie, is back for the Dolphins, standing at his 12-yard line. Well hit. Schwades will let it go, and it goes into the end zone for a touchback. James Brooks can only look on from the sideline. Injured Bengal on crutches. And now Miami comes back out leading by 3. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at Cincinnati. Dolphins have the ball in the 3rd quarter. They lead 10-7 as they led at the half. Woody Bennett runs the ball on 1st down and does well. Gets to the 27-yard line. This game is the property of the National Football League, of the Cincinnati Bengals and the Miami Dolphins, and all rights are reserved.
That was an outstanding cut by Woody Bennett. Set up at least 2 blocks. Bengals basically had Bennett stopped at the line of scrimmage, and then with a couple of moves, he makes some ground as Carl Zander is standing on the field there holding his ankle. This is a tough turf to play football on. Hard, and there are a lot of wrinkles in it that can really cause a great deal of leg problems.
We'll be back to Cincinnati after this. Dropping to throw deep. There it goes. Pruitt's open. And he drops the ball at the 31-yard line.
On the money.
Laser accurate. Dan Marino with a tight spiral. The rush was coming, but nobody can take a look and release it faster, and he was right there to Pruitt, who would have been still running.
Between Robert Jackson and Ray Horton, he is absolutely on the money with this one. Just absolute foot speed by James Pruitt. First time they really try to get the ball way down the field, and Marino says, how can you drop that one? Laces up on your right foot. Come on, I can't hand it to you any better than that.
Marino's hit 17 of 26 throws for 163 yards, but no touchdowns. Stratford runs the ball on 3rd down. Penalty marker comes in as Stratford, if the play goes, gets a 1st down, but it looked like it came from the umpire, so it might be holding.
That's what it usually is, and it is against Miami. Usually the guy that protests is the guy that's holding called on.
Offense number 76, 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
No,
3rd down.
It's Toth. Now watch this pass thrown absolutely on the money by Dan Marino to Pruitt. You can see his head is real steady, which is a sign of a great receiver. Doesn't bounce around that much. He should have caught that one.
Bengals doing better, Trump, on the penalties, though, opposed to a week ago.
Only 4 so far today. Last week they had 15.
4 on Miami. Cincinnati was just 1, for 10 yards. Marino has to hand signal the play now as the crowd takes the snap count out. Throw, and Pruitt comes down with the ball, coughs it up. Free football. Looks
Still
like
loose.
Miami has it at the
Miami's got it.
line. So Pruitt caught it that time, and it took guts to go into the teeth of the defense and come down with. Then he paid and lost it. But Troy Stratford, the rookie, sprinting down the field, fell on the free ball. So the Dolphins hit an even bigger gainer after the fumble.
Again, receivers wide open. You see Marino's trying to get the signal to his offensive line. He finds it. He looks all over the field. He finds Pruitt, the single coverage. This is a nice catch by Pruitt. Then the hit. That's an 18-yard gain on the reception, +8 on the fumble, and Stratford has it.
Marino on first down. Bruce Hardy, the tight end, running down and under then the zone coverage, and he's ahead for a gain of about 8 as the most prolific touchdown maker in pro football history. For the amount of time he's been in the game, Dan Marino has yet to throw one into the end zone today. Only touchdown was scored on an over-the-top dive by Troy Stratford. Zander, starting inside backer for the Bengals, being attended to. The turf that's causing all these ankles, or bad luck, or what?
That's a big part of it. This is one of the hardest surfaces you'll find in the NFL for artificial surfaces. I tell you, Miami's got receivers open all over the field, Don.
Pitch back to Stratford. Kenneth gives him a big block, and then a thunderous open field tackle. Howard hit by a big, strong safety. David Fulcher, as big as a linebacker, 33, weighs 230 pounds. San Francisco looking to join the Bears and the Chargers as a 7-1 team, extending its lead over Houston. Rams coming back in the third quarter at Anaheim after trailing 17-0. Dallas and Detroit again tied. Now it's 17-all.
Who Miami has in here? Looks like, well, they got the big guys in. All the big, heavy tight ends are in there. Oh, it's a pass.
Third and short, and it's a first down for the Dolphins.
Lewis Phillips on the tackle. That's the value of a running back out of the backfield. So quick, like Troy Stratford runs a very precise pattern. Those defensive backs have to first worry about the run, and Marino puts it right on the money, and Stratford makes sure of the catch. Matter of fact, if Phillips doesn't make that tackle, another 10 or 15-yard gain. Miami's rolling right here.
For both of these teams, much of the season has been a case of whichever ball club in their games has the ball last wins. Today, relatively low scoring. Under 10-7. Throw and a drop at the 25-yard line.
Clayton was the intended receiver. That's 2 he's dropped now. Reggie Williams comes in front of him, 57 there. You see him going out underneath. Phillips, 24, the man in coverage. Clayton does the right thing in trying to come back for the football. He probably saves an interception. Very smart move by Clayton, but couldn't make the reception. And the total yards now, the Dolphins up. And most of it's by passing.
So Marino on second down and 10 sets his backs in an I. Now opens them up, and here comes Pruitt back to the line. Unusual formation.
No, that's not legal. He has to stop.
Nobody flagged him on it. On second and 10, they run the ball for a gain of about 5.
That's unbelievable.
It is.
If 2 guys go in motion, more than 1 guy goes in motion at the same time, then everybody has to stop.
In Canada, you can do that.
Yeah.
Everybody can go in motion. Miami, continuing its excellence on third down, has converted 7 of 11 third downs today. The league average is 38% over the course of the season for converting third downs. Dolphins have been 60% in their last 4 games now. Third and 5 coming up for the Dolphins, who lead by 3, 10-7. Throw and a catch. It's a first down to the 29-yard line to James Pruitt.
Ray Horton, the man in coverage. As a matter of fact, Ray Horton held him, and Pruitt still got away. Watch what happens. Watch him grab his jersey. See there? And Pruitt still gets away. When receivers, when there's contact, you can control that contact just with a little shove, a little push, and you learn how to get away with that. Pruitt did an excellent job, and another big third down conversion. That's now 8 of 12 for Miami on the day, and that's the key stat so far today.
Marino frustrating the Bengal pass rush. His greatest asset is how quickly he executes. He drops, checks, and gets the ball on the way faster than anybody in the game, although they have sacked him twice. And he'd only been sacked twice in the previous 4 games he played in the season. Long ball looking for the end zone. Touchdown, Miami.
What a catch.
Mark Clayton is in the end zone, and Marino extends his touchdown streak to 28 straight games.
That's an unbelievable catch. That ball is thrown to the outside of Clayton. Clayton's looking inside, and he's still able to make the catch. That's extraordinary. You see the bump and run coverage by Phillips. When he hits that arm away, he's trying to buy himself a little room. Now look at that. Turns around, and oh, what a catch. That's an all-pro performance right there. A 30-yard touchdown reception. 16-7, and Reve's in for the extra point.
Mark Clayton was drafted in the 8th round out of Louisville. Now in his 5th year. Came into the league the same year Marino did.
And I can't
many times to be in the end zone.
I can't tell you what a great catch this is. Receivers are taught, don't turn your head away from the football. Only very few can do that and still turn around and keep concentration on the football and make the catch.
Next Sunday on NFL Live, among those great running backs in the studio on NFL Live will be Jim Brown and Gale Sayers as the Dolphins kick it off now, leading 17-7. Barney Bussey runs the ball back and gets only to about the 17-yard line. Tackled on the play by linebacker David Fry.
That last drive, very impressive by the Miami Dolphins. They had a couple of big third down conversions to make and got them. And the final 30 yards to Mark Clayton on an extraordinary catch. Turned his head away from the football. Still able to come back. Concentration on it. Make it for the score. Now the Bengals are in trouble, down 17-7. They haven't scored many points in the second half so far this season.
Ziason looking for the 12th man, the sideline, and now at 6'4", 220, he takes on the tacklers and gets the ball across the 20-yard line.
Jackie Shipp on the tackle. The Dolphins have done a good job. Remember in the first quarter, Eric Caddis, the tight end, caught a couple of passes on that half roll, and that's what they're running here. And Miami Dolphins defense done a great job of adjusting to that because there's no one open.
Could be a 3-way tie for the top of the AFC Central at the end of the day. The Browns won today. They're 5-3. Pittsburgh won at Kansas City. They're 5-3. Houston at 5-2 is losing at San Francisco. They could be 5-3. High throw. He stretches out his receiver, but Eric Caddis, who caught the touchdown pass on the opening drive, takes it down, and he has a first down out to the 30.
Paul Langford that time in coverage. I think this game pretty much comes down to this drive. I really do. I realize there's 2:50 to go in the third quarter, but the Bengals scored on their first drive of the game and have gotten very little since.
Then drove the ball beautifully their second drive, went 65 yards, but Kennebrew, the fullback, fumbled at the 6. Miami went the other way on a sustained drive of 94 yards and tied the game 7-all. Now the Dolphins lead 17-7 as Bill Johnson, who had all those good runs in the opening drive, takes the ball out to the 35. Another Bengalus hoot, Bruce Kozerski.
He's their last center, too. Mark Brown makes the tackle on that play, and a great job by him. Comes from behind the play to run down the running back. There's Kozerski coming out. He was playing center because David Douglas got hurt. David Douglas was playing center because Dave Remington was hurt last week, 2 weeks ago, sprained ankle.
In on 2nd down and 5 goes to Stanford Jennings, a running back from Furman, and he takes it to the 40. Bengals ran the ball so well. Now they're getting back to it. Still a lot of time. We're still in the third quarter, 1:45 to play in it.
Jackie Shipp again on the tackle, doing a great job. And there's Bruce Kozerski having his wrist looked at in his hand. And Robert Height, the orthopedic surgeon, Bengals pick up a first down. This may be the drive of the season for them, certainly of the day. Losing 3 straight with very poor performances in the second half. They got to get it done here.
Ziason play fakes, buys time. He's going for the distance. McGee, a sprinter, is out there, and it's almost picked off. Well done by the Dolphins. William Judson comes back and recovers on the high arcing throw and almost took it away for an interception.
There's not a lot of trickery to this particular pattern. It's just a foot race. Judson on the outside, Bud Brown on the inside, and Judson just able to get his hand on it and knocks the ball away. The Bengals have not come up with those big long plays today, and Miami's only won the touchdown to Clayton.
Dolphins have scored the last 17 points. Intercepted, tip ball. Judson comes up with it. John Offerdahl got a hand on it. Judson picked it off. And so the Dolphins defense converges on the ball as Offerdahl all over the field tipped the ball away, and Judson, who almost had an interception on the previous play, gets his 3rd of the season on that one.
Watch his drop. He's been well coached and he knows exactly what to do. He goes right in front of Collinsworth, gets it up in the air. Judson makes the interception. Excellent play by the Miami defense.
Actually, that's Judson's 1st of the season. The free safety Glenn Blackwood has 3.
Now that's one that takes the emotion out of your football team. If you're Cincinnati now, it could be over here in a hurry if they don't watch out.
They're yelling, "We want Schoner." Turk Schoner's the backup quarterback as Stratford runs. Dolphins with a 10-point lead, looking to run the ball now and get the clock on down. It's inside a minute to play in the 3rd quarter.
Last week, John Offerdahl in his first game of the season had 7 tackles, and here he drops back perfectly. Exactly what a linebacker coach wants a linebacker to do, be underneath the receiver, and the tip ball ends up in the hands of Miami, and there's Turk Schoner on the sideline, and several people here in the stadium yelling for him. Want him in the ball game.
Nathan out of the backfield is stripped to the ball at the 38-yard line.
Remember, the Bengals scored on their first possession of the day, and then the fumble and the net result. That's the last 5 possessions, and you can see how miserable they've been. On the other side of the coin, Miami is 8 of 12 in 3rd down conversions today.
Marino, had there not been the strike, would be on target with his production this year to break his touchdown record of 48 in a season. Threw 4 scoring passes last week against the Steelers to bring the Dolphins from behind. Here's a tip ball that the Bengals almost had a play on with 12 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. Barney Bussey defended the pass. Number 27. Troy Stratford was the intended receiver.
Marino almost pulls it off again. You can see him scanning the field, and this time Barney Bussey there to knock the ball away. So it ends up being a 4th down, and Reggie Roby in the punt.
It's Mike Martin standing back at the 10-yard line. Roby, power punter, hits it farther than anybody in the league other than Ron Stark of the Colts. Hits it way up. It's going to go in for a touchback. So the Bengals send their offense back out. They'll go 1st and 10 from their 20. They've not scored since that opening drive of this ball game when they took a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, they almost pulled that off. Rene Thompson, the defensive back down there, trying to jump into the end zone. Knocked that ball back in the field of play. This almost works. It ends up being a 37-yard punt, but say his feet are in, so therefore it wouldn't count. It was a nice effort as the local fans here really show their appreciation for Boomer Esiason.
Bruce Coslett, the offensive coordinator for Cincinnati, be sending in the downfield throws now as we're down close to the end. This will be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Out to the 26-yard line goes Bill Johnson, and that'll do it for 3/4 of play, with Miami having scored the last 17 points of the game. The Dolphins go into the final 15 minutes leading. Benzu, the Bengal Tiger, mascot of the Cincinnati Bengals, would rather be in Philadelphia. Waiting for a TD. Got your helmet one day, didn't he, Trump?
Oh, yes, he did. Those are not kitty cats. They're not house pets.
Put his claws right into Trumpy's helmet. Johnson runs on 2nd and short and gets the ball to the 33-yard line.
One thing we have not seen yet today for the Bengals is that at the line of scrimmage offense, I think one of the reasons that they stayed away from it was to just keep Marino off the field, but I think now is about the time they unfold it, get it out there, as I noticed Larry Kennebrew back in the ball game for the first time in a long time, Don.
Bengals down 17-7. First down and 10 coming up. Boomer with the cock fake and then drills it out near flat, and it can't make the connection. Jennings diving back at the ball. It'll be 2nd down and 10. So he's forced to throw in all probability on the next 2 downs.
That ball was very catchable. It looked like they were trying to throw out in the flat to Eddie Brown. He's well covered. He comes back to Stanford Jennings. This ball should be caught. Esiason throws a very heavy ball. That is, there's a lot of power on it. Drives through your hands, but that one should have been caught. So 2nd down and 10.
Esiason on the run, looking downfield, and the great athlete, he takes it ahead, might have a first down. Looks like he does. Got the ball out to the 44-yard line where he had to go with 14:03 to play in the game.
Boomer, that's not too smart. You want to try to avoid that if you're a quarterback. When you wear the 60s numbers, when you wear 7, you never grab anybody with 95. That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. Always grab someone with a lower number than yours. There's a good pass rush here. Brzezinski right there on the left, and Kennebrew holds him out, and then Esiason turns upfield. Looks like it's going to be short of the first down, but on that marker, looks like it's enough for a first down. Yeah, it is enough for a first down. 11-yard pickup. I think we also got flags here, or not? No flags. When quarterbacks take on players, they say, that's no big deal. That can't be a fight. So they don't throw any flags.
Bengals need badly to get in the end zone. They haven't been there since the opening drive of the football game when they took a 7-0 lead. Now down by 10 as Esiason throws near sideline. Coming back at the ball is Tim McGee, a sprinter and a former #1 draft choice out of Tennessee, who the Bengals feel could eventually be their best receiver.
Flag down. Holding against the Bengals. The catch is nullified.
Illegal use of the hands. Offense, number 63, hands to the face. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down. First down.
Joe Walter. The new rules for the offensive linemen. Now that they can extend their arms, sometimes they get them up in people's faces. That's illegal. That's just the 2nd penalty, though, on Cincinnati for the day. It's 13 fewer than they had last week.
First and 20. Esiason, downfield throw, skips it in low. He's way off target. Esiason losing his accuracy as the game wears on. Now let's go to NFL Live in New York. Bob?
All right, Don. Warren Moon and the Oilers making a move a bit at Candlestick. Moon rolling right, fires this bullet to Curtis Duncan for a touchdown. But Joe Montana has thrown for 3 for the 49ers. And at the end of the 3rd quarter, they lead 21-13.
Here at Cincinnati, it is 17-7 Miami. Cincinnati has the ball. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy 13:33 to play. Swing pass to Caddis. It's a tight end screen, a set play, and it goes well for the Bengals as they drive the ball out to midfield. But they needed a lot. That was a 2nd and 20. They got about 14.
Excellent call. You could see the defensive backs dropping all over the place, covering the wide receivers. Well set up. Actually, in those numbers, a couple of drops by receivers of Boomer Esiason, and then Boomer's overthrown a couple of receivers and also thrown one into the ground to Stanford Jennings. 3rd down now and about 6 to keep this drive alive. The Bengals haven't been outstanding on 3rd downs. 1 of 5 so far today.
Miami, conversely, has been hitting virtually all of its 3rd down tries. It's been the big difference in keeping the drives alive. Blitz. Throw. Catch to Stanford Jennings. And finally, Esiason makes the play. Actually, it was the nose tackle that got through Soche. And Esiason stood in, lofted a timing pattern that Stanford Jennings ran under.
Hugh Green makes the tackle. One of the few times we've seen Hugh Green so far today. You can see the blitz. They had everybody up there, but Esiason does a great job of just getting the ball up. Ends up being a 15-yard gain. Jennings with the catch. Hugh Green on the tackle. Nice to see him back in playing. NFL needs good players like Hugh Green playing healthy.
Stanford Jennings is slowed up as he gets to the 34-yard line. Then he fires ahead and gets to about the 30. Bob Brudzinski, number 59, the left outside linebacker, put that shoulder shot on him to slow him down.
It's very quiet in this stadium. You would think that with this drive that started on the Bengals 20, they've now got it at the Miami 32. There'd be a little enthusiasm. Frankly, Don, I think the fans are waiting for something bad to happen. And it has.
Week after week. Bengals, if they can get in now, you're right back in it. 2nd down and 6. Kennebrew back in, and he booms on down to the 25. That's his first carry since he fumbled on the 2nd drive to stop a Cincinnati drive at the 6. So Shea tackled him. You just keep giving it to Kennebrew, you're going to get in if he doesn't cough it up.
He had his knee drained this week, we understand, from the Bengals, and wasn't sure how much he could play. So he didn't take a lot of reps this week. Bill Johnson got the majority of them. And Kennebrew
like
comes
a little limping when he comes off, big Kennebrew.
Yeah, he's coming off, and Bill Johnson back into the ball game.
How fast is Kennebrew? As a high school sprinter in Georgia, he beat Herschel Walker in a race.
That was a few dinners ago, though.
Here's Caddis getting the out pattern. Tight end is down for a first down for the Bengals down to the 14-yard line. He's doing your old number proud, Trumpy.
Better than I ever did. William Judson makes the tackle. You can see 2 receivers out here in the flat. The ball goes by one into the hands of Eric Gaddis, who now has 5 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. And frankly, he wouldn't be playing had not Rodney Holman gotten hurt. Keep throwing it to the tight end. Johnson and I think they're always open.
That's
right, Dan?
1st and 10 for Cincinnati. Bengals looking to get close now if they can take it in. Here's Johnson in open field. Bangs down to the 5-yard line. Still a lot of time to play. 10 minutes and 30 seconds to go as the Bengals now have it very close to another first down. William Judson stopped the touchdown, if but for the moment, as the Bengal left side, led by the All-Pro Munoz, is opening up the Dolphin defense.
That was a gaping hole in that defense, too. There was lots of room for Bill Johnson to go through there. No decisions to make. Just get it up in the line of scrimmage.
Watch the left tackle, 78. Blows people out. Right behind him they go again and into the end zone. Munoz opens the defense and sprinting in for the touchdown is Bill Johnson from Arkansas State. And the Bengals are right back in it with 9:57 to go. It's a 17-13 game, Dolphins.
Bill Johnson's first touchdown of the season. He did break some tackles, but the offensive line did an outstanding job up front.
point up and good. It's a 17-14 game, Miami.
From behind the defense, you see the center, the left guard, Reimer 75, Max Montoya 65, does an excellent job. Bill Johnson now 13 carries, 89 yards, and a TD.
On the payoff end, he has 89 yards on 13 carries. That was a 12-play, 80-yard drive by the Bengals as they now trail by 3, 17-14 with 9:57 to play. Downfield it goes. Coming back with the ball is Stratford.
Big hit.
Real big. Bengals. That touchdown picked everybody up in the black and orange.
Let's see if we can see who hits it. 51 absolutely nails him. Leon White.
Marino's back out when we come back.
Radio Shack's
Riverfront Stadium sold out. They're standing and saluting the Bengals now after they were roundly booed earlier. Marino, the best in the business when the heat's on.
Look at him
Sets up
standing
the
there.
Dolphins, who lead by 3. First and 10 Miami.
Look how cool he is. He's not upset.
To Woody Bennett, and he's knocked down after a gain of about 4 yards to the 26-yard line.
Kiki Diala, but Dan Marino's seen too many of these situations. He'll coolly run that offense. There's a lot of audibles available to Dan Marino.
9:20 to play in the game. 17-14, Miami in the lead. Dolphins scored 17 unanswered points to come back from a 17-0 deficit. But the Bengals drove the field their last possession to come close. They're now down by 3, are Cincinnati.
This is going to Stratford, Don.
Stratford weaves his way for a Miami first down out to the 34-yard line.
And I'll tell you what the Bengals were trying to do there. They showed the double rotation zone. The corner's up and the safety's out. And that means the middle linebacker has the tight end. Marino calls the audible. There's nobody there to make the stop after the line of scrimmage, so it's a first down pickup. Watch what happens. Watch where the middle linebacker looks. Stevenson gets on Kelly. Nice first down pickup.
And the Bengals have gone to 4 down linemen. Extra pass rusher in.
Look at Marino, though, just looking around.
They're showing blitz. They pull back. 4 rushers come at Marino. He gets it away. Incomplete on a first and 10 throw at the 44. Touched by 2 players. Stratford was the intended. And Clayton.
I think if Stratford had touched that ball, would have burned his fingers. And Marino on the sideline. Watch what happens. You can see this is the short receiver. Stratford, excellent pattern. But he goes up for it. Does he make contact with it? I don't think so. And then Clayton is the secondary receiver, and it bounces right out of his stomach. Audible again, Don. Audible again.
Stratford starting and stopping and then paying, and here's a penalty marker in, then another.
That's a face mask.
That's the case. Personal foul call against Cincinnati for a face mask. It'll give the Dolphins a first down.
Eric Thomas and David Fulcher were on the tackle. The officials now must determine whether in their estimation it was inadvertent or on purpose.
It can be anything from a 5 to a 10 to a 15-yard penalty, depending on the severity. It can also be an ejection from the game.
Defense number 20, 15 yards, first down.
That's on purpose.
I thought it was
Ray Horton.
Quite intentional. 15 yards are marked off against the Bengals.
And when he cuts to the outside, there's Ray Horton. Looks like he just, actually, I don't think that was on purpose, but it was rather severe, and therefore the 15 yards.
So the Dolphins, beneficiaries of that 15-yard mark-off against the Bengals, have the ball at Cincinnati's 49-yard line. 7:55 to go. Dolphins leading 17-14. Bengals back to 3 down linemen to rush Marino. He goes to the run, and Lorenzo Hampton breaks it to the outside. And Hampton's ahead for 12 yards and a Miami first down. He stays inbounds to keep the clock running. Down to 7:30 to play in the game.
Ray Horton on the tackle. An excellent job by the Dolphin defensive line. They sell pass first. Excellent job by the Dolphins offensive line. They sell pass first, and then Hampton gets right up there in the line of scrimmage and then jumps to the outside. There's so many weapons now available to Dan Marino. The defensive backs are playing soft. That is off. He can take the quick slant, or he can, look at there, Dolphins. Marino again having a pretty big day, although 216 yards passing for Dan Marino, that's a bad day.
First and 10. Hampton holds on. The former #1 draft choice out of Florida.
Look at the number of plays run here. Dolphins back on top after having but 3 plays in the first quarter. They have begun to really pick it up. But there's a little more balance between Cincinnati's offense run to pass.
Pressures on both these teams to come out with a win. Teams in our division did well today. Buffalo winning, upsetting Denver to go to 4-4. Dolphins came in at 3-4. The Bengals at 2-5. 2nd and 7. Throw and a catch. Stratford makes the tacklers miss. He's got a first down for Miami to the 20-yard line.
Oh, that's a mismatch. You put Troy Stratford out there on linebackers and man-to-man coverage. Eventually, Diala and Williams make the tackle, but all they're going is for the little short passes. You see Stratford with his hand up in the air, and watch this move. Actually, 2 moves. And Joe Kelly is left in the dust. That's a 14-yard pickup. Very similar to what Tony Nathan did for so many years for this team, and prior to that, Jim Kick did.
Miami takes it in. Bengals may look back as a turning point in this game to that 15-yard penalty for the face mask that kept the drive going. Hampton working hard on first down, gets to the 18-yard line. Dolphins continue, Trump, to run that clock down to 5:10 and running.
You're going to go with your bread and butter offense here. The plays that your team has run the most. The clock is down to 5:05, 5:04 and counting. You don't want to run anything on the back page of the playbook here. Run the plays that your offense is most comfortable with.
Clayton goes wide to the right. Pruitt is wide right. Duper's not played since the first half. Out with a cracked rib. 2nd and 9 for Marino. Blitz from Kelly. Here's a throw and a big defensive play. Open in the end zone was Pruitt, and the ball was heading right into his hands.
Tipped away by David Fulcher. Came from the other side of the field to tip the ball away, or it's 6 points. See if we can pick up Fulcher. And Robert Jackson, there's Fulcher right there. Just gets his hands on it. Well, that ball, I think, is a completion. And it looks like Pruitt's got Lewis Billups beat enough so that Marino can get it in there. Touchdown saving play by David Fulcher.
Big down, 3rd and 9 for Miami. Dolphins lead by 3. Marino throws and crashed. Jensen takes it at the 9-yard line. Here's a penalty marker after the play. Back judge fires it in. Jim Jensen makes the play, and he has a first down for the Dolphins if it goes, but the Bengals are signaling it's against Miami.
He lines up, Jensen lines up in the backfield with Dan Marino. They're basically 2 quarterbacks back there.
Holding. Defense number 20. Penalty is declined. First down.
Penalty is against Ray Horton. Jensen, you see Jensen coming out of the backfield, number 11. That means inside go to see what kind of move he's got to do. Excellent move. And you've got Joe Kelly, 58, the man in coverage. And you also see Horton at the top of the screen holding James Pruitt. First down, Dolphins.
Marino firing off in 39 throws, 25 completions, 257 yards, no interceptions, 1 touchdown. It's a 3-point game with 4:08 to play. 17-14 Miami. First and goal. Throw and a catch, and down at the 4-yard line is Tony Nathan, who was cut in training camp. 9th-year player out of Alabama, picked up this week. He'd been working out on his own. And Nathan gets him down close. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 4.
Kiki Diala on the coverage, and again Miami able to isolate a running back on a linebacker. It's worked all day long. That's where the bulk of the receptions have been made, and it's moved Miami steadily down the field. This started at their own 22-yard line. This has been a game of long drives, lots of plays.
Dan Johnson of the Dolphins, one of their players, says definite pass in the formation, but there'll be a definite pause in the action now as Marino saw something he didn't like with 3:17 to play. And there's a delay of game call apparently being signaled. A flag went down in the end zone.
What they're saying is that the 30-second clock expired before Marino could call the timeout.
Delay, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's exactly what it was. A very unusual mental mistake by the Miami Dolphins offense.
This Trump gives the offense more room to run patterns, though.
Frankly, this offense hasn't needed a lot of room to run patterns because they've been so short most of the day. Nathan back in the ball game. We're going to see a spread formation here, that's for sure. It's now the 5th penalty on Miami for 46 yards. Let's see if this is all spread out all over the place. And you got to think that Nathan and Troy Stratford are the 2 big guys here.
Base throw set. Tight end to the left.
Audible again by Marino.
Bengals have been changing defenses. Now they get Marino. A big rush. Eddie Edwards, who played for Miami of Florida, was a #1 draft choice out of that school. The 3rd sack of the day of Dan Marino, and this is monumental to get him 3 times in a game.
I wonder if it's ever happened.
Least sacked quarterback in the NFL.
Looked like a predetermined move by Eddie Edwards down inside. Now you can see Tom Toth, the offensive guard, just apparently misidentifies who he's supposed to block and lets Eddie Edwards go. 4 wide receivers now. We count Stratford as a wide receiver and Jensen in the backfield with Marino.
3rd down and goal from the 17. Miami leads the game 17-14 with 2:17 to play to the end zone. And it's defended by Ray Horton. James Pruitt again, the intended target for Miami. Now the field goal unit comes out. They make it. It would mean that Cincinnati'd have to take it into the end zone.
Once again from this formation, we've seen this a lot today, and the ball is underthrown. There's contact by both. Horton doesn't touch that ball. Pruitt almost made the catch there. We now hear that he was sacked. Dan Marino was sacked 4 times in the 1986 opener. That's how rare it is to get to Dan Marino more than once.
Reveiz hits it up and right down the middle. So 2:08 left to play in the game. Fuad Reveiz hits the field goal, and Miami extends its lead to 20-14. But the Bengals get a chance with 2:08 to play.
Today's game is brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste. And by GTE. GTE.
With Bob Trumpy, this is Don Criqui, Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium on a balmy November day. And here's a big penalty being marked off against the Dolphins before they kick off.
Nobody even knew it. Don Shula's running down there. What's going on here?
Unsportsmanlike act, number 57 on Miami, 15-yard penalty.
Dwight Stevenson?
The best center in football and a consummate gentleman, Dwight Stevenson, is called for an unsportsmanlike act. The definition of we haven't gotten yet.
What a tremendous break for the Bengals. I mean, that's with 2 minutes and 8 seconds left. That's just 15 yards less that they have to try to come up with. And Dwight Stevenson, I can't imagine what that penalty was. Unsportsmanlike act. Doesn't sound like there's anything worse, does there?
Be a lot of things, and that moves the Bengals that much closer to the Miami end zone where they have to go. High spinning kick is taken at the 28-yard line by Tim McGee. Turns the corner. He's on the run. Here's a penalty marker down, though, as he gets out to the 49-yard line. We're going to have some ending here.
We got 2 penalties, I believe, Don. One on the far side and one on the near side. The one on this side was, here's the call, but they were 35 yards away from the play. By the way, that last scoring drive by Miami, another multiple play drive, 14, consumed 7 minutes and 49 seconds. Here's the call.
We have holding
and a face mask
on Cincinnati, number 55 on the run back. We have a 5-yard face mask on a return on Miami. The penalties are offset at the spot of the holding. First down.
Why wouldn't there be another kick? Can you answer me that?
We're going to work on that while we go to commercial.
Let's do.
Down to the 2-minute warning with 1:57 to play, and Esiason and the Bengals get set to go on offense. They have to score. Check on the grades. The report card on the Bengals. Both quarterbacks throwing well, although Marino for a lot more yards than Esiason.
Esiason 175 yards. Marino 261. Big key in the game has been the 2 turnovers by Cincinnati. Miami has not turned the ball over. I'm still not sure I understand why that there's not a re-kick here. We were told that both the penalties were dead ball penalties. That means after the play, but then I don't know how you can have holding after a play. It seems to me that one of the penalties has to be during the play, and any offsetting penalties isn't the play redone. No, I guess not. 1st and 10 from the 39 for the Bengals. That's the spot of the first penalty.
So the ball will be spotted at the 39-yard line for Cincinnati as 2 wideouts go to either side, and Esiason searches them out now against the rush. He gets a lot of time running out. He drills it. Perfectly timed defensive hit by Raina Thompson, 24. Just as the ball came in to Tim McGee, he drilled him. A. Thompson with a big defensive play for Miami. And now with 1:50 left to go in the ball game, we'll look again.
Looks like there's going to be man-on-man coverage for everybody.
Wow.
And then Boomer Esiason, after he threw it, he paid the price, but then most quarterbacks do. That was Rick Graff, I think, grabbing a hold of him, number 58.
2nd and 10, so Boomer takes the drop again. Stands in. They dump it off with the ball to Stanford Jennings, and he's to the 45-yard line. A gain of 6, 3rd and 4 on a critically important drive to the Bengals, who trail by 6 with 1:36 to go.
They've certainly been in this position before, although have not really been in a position with the ball in their own hands.
Ball was hit at the line, so it's incomplete on 3rd down, and the Dolphins defense holds on 3rd, but the offense will stay out for Cincinnati. They have to go on 4th.
They don't have any choice whatsoever. And the Bengals have had their 5 wide receivers in. I realize, of course, that it's going to take a real chance. Now, this has got to be something like a half roll and someone coming in motion underneath all the coverage. And frankly, the Miami Dolphins defense has played a very good football game today.
Bengals do have all 3 timeouts left. They have indeed played well. But down by 6, the Bengals have to get into the end zone. 1:22 to play. 4th down pass. Good.
No.
The catch and a fumble.
Is that a catch?
Picks up the ball. They're ruling it incomplete.
Game over. Don McNeil on the coverage. It looked like Eddie Brown made the catch. Don McNeil right there. Absolutely a spectacular play by the Miami defender. His second foot didn't come down. Excellent job by the Miami defense, basically winning the game with that stop.
Graf started the wrong way. Rookies don't get it often. Back in set to go with 1:17 to play. Miami with the lead goes to the run now. Bengals will call timeout to stop the clock with 1:12 to play, down to 1:11. 2 timeouts left. Woody Bennett carry.
Yeah, Don, the Bengals are going to get the ball back here. If the Miami Dolphins can't get a first down, and their concern is they're not worried about getting a first down. That is not their concern at all. So they're going to have the ball in offense again before this game is over.
We'll be back to Cincinnati after this. Big Dave Remington, one of the best centers in football in the white shirt. He's out with an injury, a key Cincinnati player. Right now with 1:11 to go, the Miami Dolphins lead the Bengals 20-14. Second down and 9 coming up for the Dolphins, who will go to 4-4 if they hold on to win this. Lorenzo Hampton takes it over the top on a second down carry, and again the Bengals call timeout with 1:07 to play.
You can see how Hampton is protecting that football. They want no turnovers. As I see it, each play is taking about 5 to 6, maybe even 7 seconds. Bengals look like they're going to have about 30 seconds left with no timeouts. That is if the Dolphins do not get a first down.
They'll have a 3rd and 6 coming up. 1 timeout left for the Bengals, 3 for the Dolphins, but they want to keep the clock going. Don Shula, master of the prevent defense, if the Bengals should get it back, says the only time you hear criticism or hear anything about the prevent defense is when it doesn't work. It's worked a lot for his team over the years, and they're great ones for using it. You do 2 things with it. You protect against the deep throw, and you protect the sidelines. Keep the clock running.
And the clock is your ally. No question about it. That's 3rd down and 7.
Pitch back to Lorenzo Hampton. Turns upfield. Looks like he did not get there, and that brings up 4th down. He stayed in bounds, though, and keeps the clock ticking as the Bengals call their final timeout with 58 seconds to play. So the Dolphins will have 4th down coming up, 4th and short, 58 seconds to play, and the Bengals are now out of timeouts. Reggie Roby, their punter, getting some counsel.
Yeah, now the most important man out there on the field is the punt snapper. You want to make sure that he can get the ball back. It's Scott Nicholas. He's the guy who snaps the punt. If in fact that's what they're going to do, and it doesn't look like, I'm not sure exactly what they'll do. In this position on the field across the 50-yard line, I agree with this. Reggie Roby, 3 punts for 46.3, but you know that the Bengals realize their only chance is to try to block the punt, but they can't run into the punter or the Dolphins win the game because they'll get the ball back.
Yeah, but these pro teams can go a long way fast, where they did try to block it. About 50 seconds left. Ball takes a Miami hop inside the 15 and down to the 11-yard line.
Well, they get the ball back with 48 seconds left now.
And they have to go into the end zone because the Bengals are down 20-14. Thanks to our spotters Dan Johnson and Bill Schwarberg, and statistician Neil Bendeski. Our producer today for NBC Sports has been David Neal. Our director Richard Klein. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer of NFL football Ted Nathanson. As the Miami Dolphins look to even their record at 4-4. Don Shula said after the win against Pittsburgh, we've really got to win them all now in our division. That might be saying a bit much, but they can't afford to fall behind. They did with their poor performance in the strike season. Now the throw comes out to Eddie Brown, gets ahead for 9 and stops the clock dancing out of bounds.
The defensive backs are going to be about as deep as you can possibly be, and crossing patterns and everything like that is what you want to try to do here. And Makes the catch inbounds and goes straight out of bounds. You don't try to fight for inches in this particular situation on offense down. You try to save every second. Same play.
Another sideline throw to Eddie Brown upfield. First down, gets out of bounds at the 34-yard line. But the game clock, as you see, down to 35 seconds to play.
Now the Dolphins are going to stay in this prevent mode. They'll allow those pass receptions up the field. That was a 14-yard pickup because they're betting that the clock will expire before you can make enough completions to get it in the end zone. And then the prevent works.
No timeout, so that takes the middle of the field away. You got to go to the sidelines to keep stopping the clock. Madison looks, throws long near sideline and overthrows Tim McGee, who was well covered by Blackwood and Thompson.
He also had Eddie Brown open on the sideline for the same pass. Renee Thompson is the cornerback closest to Eddie Brown, and he's letting him make the catches. Esiason now 16 of 33. Watch Eddie Brown. He's open again, and Esiason can take that if he wants it, but he tries to throw it a little bigger downfield. Looks like the same play is going to be open. It is.
Eddie Brown again, ahead for another first down to the 45-yard line, but just 22 ticks are left on the clock. 20-14, Miami over Cincinnati.
Frankly, Don, I think I'd keep taking that play. Just keep throwing it out there. Renee Thompson, 24 again, gives him that reception.
They might go to that hook and go now.
That's entirely possible.
Catching a lateral.
Although the defensive backs, the safeties, are sitting almost 25 yards deep, and they're going to bite on nothing. Absolutely nothing. They're the last line of defense.
Another throw. Eddie Brown is stuck in bounds, and now the Bengals helpless to stop the clock. It ticks down 9 seconds, 8 seconds. The same sad scenario for Cincinnati. At the end, it goes wrong, and with 2 seconds left, Esiason has time to throw it one time into the end zone.
I don't know why he went away from Eddie Brown, because the play was there. He tried to go to the other side of the field, and Eddie Brown was there. That play took 16 seconds. 17 seconds. It's down to 2 seconds now on the clock, so they have no choice but to throw it in the end zone. There was 21 seconds left, so it took 19 seconds for that play when all the rest of them were taking 5 or 6. It's a bad choice by Boomer Esiason.
Well, he's got one choice now, and that's to drop back and let her rip into the end zone.
Yeah, one defensive back sitting 35 yards
8,
deep.
Rushing with 3. There it goes. A high ball. Hit or miss. Up for grabs. Into the end zone, and it's incomplete. And that's it. The game's over. Miami 20, the Cincinnati Bengals 14.
That's their only chance. Try to put it up there, and hopefully the ball can bounce around and end up in somebody's hands. The Dolphins had, let's see, 80 is Chris Collinsworth, 89 is Hillary, Mike Martin. You see, the ball is tipped up, and Eddie Brown tries to make a dive for it, but can't quite get it. Game ends, incompletion, no score.
Back after this. Sponsored by Budweiser, and today's MVP is quarterback Dan Marino of the Miami Dolphins. Hit 26 of 41 throws for 261 yards, 1 TD, no interceptions. Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVPs selected in today's games. A familiar place for Dan Marino in the middle of the Budweiser MVP award picture. As today, Trump, the Bengals, as they feared, had problems at the end again. And what about Sam Weich's coach? He's been under fire here. Do you think he'll be last this season?
Yes, I do, frankly, because I don't think what we talked about at the outset of the program, I think pretty much happened, and that this is not a great defensive team. Miami's defense played, I thought, very well and above their head. So I don't think you fire the head coach because the defense doesn't do the job. And frankly, the offense with Boomer Esiason in that last drive, Boomer seemed to be impatient. He had Eddie Brown open on the sideline. They would have had 2 or 3 more licks at it before they had to go in the end zone. I was surprised they went away from it. But they're 2-7, and coaches lose their job because the record is not good enough.
Well, they go to Atlanta next week. The Falcons having problems, and the Miami Dolphins go back home all of a sudden to play a very hot club, the Indianapolis Colts, even though we're beaten today. That is the final numbers here from Cincinnati as we watch the final play once again. Esiason throwing into the end zone. It's tipped once, then twice, and then tipped away. The gun sounds, and the game is history, and the Bengals are beaten again, losing 20-14 to the Miami Dolphins. Now for Bob Trumpy, this is Don Crickey. Stay tuned for Our House in its entirety except for the Mountain and Pacific time zones, where it will be seen at its regular time.